I want to taper off the military aid within the next 10 years.
You want to taper it off to zero within 10 years?
Yes.
That would be a very dramatic shift.
Well, it's in the works.
So I talked to Bibi just a few minutes ago, and I said, what would you like me to say? He said, Israel's not going to live this way anymore. They're not going to live under threat from Iran anymore.
Netanyahu went on Fox to eulogize Graham and said, don't worry, we don't need your money anymore. We have a new plan. Yeah, to merge with our military and say you co-own all of our weapon systems and the $1 trillion of U.S. weapon sales every year.
The last conversation I had with him, I said, Lindsey, we've come of age. We have a robust economy. We can take care of our.
We run your
own,
Congress now and
financing our own weapons for the defense of Israel and defense of our common interests with America. So I'm going to phase out the support, the military support for Israel over a period of years and bring it down to zero. We can do it. And he went ballistic. He said, no way, you can't do that, because he was so concerned with our security, which he believed was your security, that he actually fought the prime minister of Israel on keeping America's aid or actually increasing it. And that tells you what kind of a person this extraordinary friend was.
The boldness, the arrogance of this. And again, I don't want to get rid of Israel. I don't want a river to the sea. I don't support the Islamicists, but I cannot support Israel primarying our leaders.
We know why young people are, and middle-aged people are against the next war, because we'd be the ones fighting it. They're trying to bring back the draft. Screw that. We're not going to fight. We're not going to fight some other country's wars, are we?
I cannot support Israel openly bragging they basically control our foreign policy and now want domestic control. And 38 states have passed laws that if you criticize Israel, you can't have a government contract or a state job. And if you do get a job, it's a felony in Texas and a bunch of other states. The laws vary, but 38 have the laws. I mean, this is un-American stuff.
The ambassador, who's also a Republican, said, well, you might say that America made Israel, let Israel survive, but it's Jews who created America. And he goes through, how much of America was based on the Torah, how the original symbol of the United States proposed by Benjamin Franklin was Moses parting the sea, that, many of the original symbols of America come from the Bible. And there are many references to the Bible in the early writings of American patriots. I quote some of them in my book.
Israel gives us as much as we give them. And a lot of Americans never fully understand that.
This is social credit score stuff. When the Democrats do it, I'm against it. When the EU does it, when the UK does it, when Brazil does it, I'm against it. And I'm against it when Republicans are doing this. It's unbelievable. The Defense Authorization Act 2027 now passed out of committee in the full House. It looks like Israel may get its merger, lifetime fusion, integration, these are all terms, marriage with the U.S. military and intelligence. They got an intelligence bill, does the same thing with Senator Cotton. Unbelievable. Will the Senate sign up this special office that merges everything from research and development right down to battlefield, right down to telemetry, and they co-own our military equipment and sales of it around the world, $1 trillion of it a year? Man, that is bold. And now it's passed out of both committees and is in the full House, and they got the votes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Let me get my screen pulled up here. Thank you for being here. It is the last day of July 2026, July 31st, 2026. Thank you for being here. We have a major broadcast for you tonight, and we have a special guest. Billy's going to come in here in a second. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. And let me just catch you up on where we're at. We got an invasion in Spain. As you know, if you're from the United States, you know right now that the same thing that's going on in Spain happened to us a few years ago, and it is major. All kids, like 16, really. When I was looking at the video, they're like 16 to like 25, all, fighting age males, military age males, just, they said that it was, thousands, I think the last number was 49,000 have, have invaded Spain. Now, Spain's not the biggest place in the world. So, 49,000, I mean, that's major. Anyway, we're going to cover that tonight. We have a little bit on that. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about, I plead the fifth so I don't incriminate myself, although I have a, pardon for, what do they call it? What's that thing called? I'll think about it in a minute. This is how it happens. It comes to my, they did all those pardons with the machine. Fauci was one of them. They got the high salute from Biden before he left office, and he was at the Senate. We're going to cover some of that. We're going to cover Flock. Flock is back in the news, and it's major. And now they're talking about, and like I said, I told you 2-3 weeks ago, what they were talking about was surveillance. It's more than just taking your license plate number and your car and where you've been, where you're going, and all that stuff. Now, just like I said a few weeks ago, Axion is literally retina scanning you and tracking you, and the whole shit and shebang. And if you tie that in with the cars that now have kill switches and cameras, if you're not looking straight at the road, they'll give you a warning. And if you don't sit up straight and look straight at the camera, then it'll pull you over to the curb and shut your car off, and you can't go nowhere. This is all part of the plan, and we're going to get into that tonight too a little bit. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Marion Adelson, and we're going to talk about Israel and what was once called 224, Section 224. They changed it to 219, which piggybacks off of 622, the one we just played a second ago. And we got some more about that. We're going to get into that. And we're going to get into this energy war we are in. We are in an energy war. What else are we going to get into? We're going to get into mind control. Mind control is major thing that's going on. And if you don't know, the whole thing that's going on with social media, if you're not careful, you get sucked into it. And hours just passed. You didn't even know. You just sat down to look at your phone for a minute. And now hours have passed. It's part of the mind control thing that's going on, and what they can do to you now. Before, they used to shoot you with something from across the street and put your head in mind control. Now they can do it without even being around you. They have complete control of your thinking and it's crazy, the stuff that I've uncovered. We're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk shooting and some other stuff. We're going to cover a little bit of that, and then we're going to talk about the real war is the war with the United States with our voting. We're going to really talk about that, because that is a major thing that's going on. And California just qualified for to get rid of California just got qualifications for voter ID on the ballot for 2026. That's a major thing that's going on. And that's good, because if and there the corrupt politicians, both Democrats and Republicans in California, are going to fight it, and they're going to do all the things that they do, because that's what they do. Because it isn't left and right; it's good and bad. It's Satan, demon, and the good people of the United States that want free and fair elections. And if you win, great, you won. We'll support that if you won. But if you stole the election to get there, we're not really going to support that. And that's kind of where we're at. And, I have some other stuff that I'm probably skipping over right now. Let's bring Billy in. Bring Billy in right now. Hi, Billy. There you are. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Billy. Your intro is gonna sound like a lot of fun. A lot of stuff that is kind of mind-boggling. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be interesting.
I don't know what you want me to introduce.
No, you're good. Just say hi. Hi, everybody.
Well, hello.
And
it's going to be fun.
It will be fun. So in Spain, a few days ago, they released the floodgates. And what they had done with releasing the floodgates is, 49,000. Obviously they're not sitting there with a clicker, but they estimated it to be over 40,000 coming from Morocco or to Spain, and they're all fighting age males. And it really, when you think about that, the big thing about that whole thing that's going on with that is it's the same thing that they did to us a few years ago, where they were just letting people in our country and nobody knew where they were going. They were putting up in hotels and doing all that stuff. And now they're doing it in Spain. And Spain, I don't think they have the GDP to cover all that, just to house them and all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be interesting. But let's get into it. Let's start this first clip. I have 2 clips we'll play back to back just for the sake of time. And thank you for being here. If you have not subscribed to the channel, it'd be a great opportunity for you to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can get notifications when we go live. We do shows 3 or 4 times a week. We're working on getting there to where we're on where we do a show most nights. We're working on it. My whole family's been sick, so I've been taking care of kids, and dogs and kids. So and I never got sick, so it's great. I'm happy. I guess ivermectin and all that shit that I take all the time really works, right? Anyway, let's get into it. Stand by.
Increíble la situación.
It's because they won the World Cup. That's what's going on.
Increíble la situación ahora mismo, señores.
It looks like a big party.
Yeah, half of this video has sound and the other half doesn't. Look at all those people. There's look at the beaches, man. It's just, man.
It looks like a World Cup
maybe
celebration.
It's a World Cup celebration. Exactly is what it is. It's a World Cup celebration from Morocco.
Oh.
Maybe they're pissed off because they lost. I don't know. I don't know if they were in the World Cup. I don't watch sports anymore because
Spain won the World Cup.
Yeah, I know they won the World Cup, but did Morocco lose, and that's why all the fighting age males are there?
Yeah, they lost in the semifinals.
First thing I thought about really was how come they're all there with their shirts? Look at the faces. Look at what you got. Thousands of I think that's the points made on that. Watch that because it's the same thing. It's just them coming across. And Billy had a good point. Maybe they're there to celebrate because Spain won the World Cup. I mean, there is that. Maybe they're pissed off because Morocco lost. I don't know if they have a soccer team or not. But, I mean, that is great. I mean,
Looks like the
Dodgers parade where they burn shit down. It's like what happened? These animals, dude. They're all animals. What happened? I don't understand. It's like, hey, we're happy that we won a baseball game, a World Series. So let's burn the city down. Let's go. I mean, that's what they do. Anyway, let's finish this little segment off with Nick Fuentes talking about what this looks like and what's going on here and what his take is on it. And if you haven't listened to Nick Fuentes, he gives it to you straight. And whether you believe any of what he says or some, I mean, the points are valid for sure. So stand by.
Our featured story tonight, we're talking all about the Muslim African invasion of Spain and Europe. It doesn't get more blackpilling than this. the sights, the videos, the images coming out of Spain make you wish that Adolf Hitler would return. Not really. Not actually, no. But you kind of do. No, but you are thinking about that and wishing that it would happen, hoping and wishing and even maybe praying that Hitler would return. Certainly it's preferable to this. I'm sure you've seen the videos today, potentially a record-breaking 40,000 Muslim Arabs from Morocco breached a border wall between Morocco and a Spanish enclave in northern Africa, invading the city. The city is called Ceuta. They invaded the city. They're now breaking into people's homes. And there's an interesting geopolitical dimension to this. A lot of people are looking at the videos and they're wondering, what is going on? Why has this happened? How is it even possible? You see the videos of droves, thousands, hundreds, thousands, literally pouring over the fence and around the fence by sea, breaking into Europe and running wild, setting cars on fire, trying to break into houses. You wonder how and why this is possible. And tonight, we're not just going to talk about the Muslim invasion of this enclave and the ongoing Muslim attack on Western civilization. There's a very interesting geopolitical dimension to all of this, which is surprising and unexpected. And the geopolitical dimension to the latest border crisis or flare-up between Morocco and Spain has a lot to do with the relationship between Morocco and the state of Israel, as always. Always goes back to this because, as it stands, Morocco and Israel have a very deep relationship since 2020, when you might remember the first Trump administration brokered the Abraham Accords. And under the Abraham Accords, Morocco became one out of 4 Muslim-majority countries that normalized ties with Israel, recognizing their sovereignty and existence. And since then, Israel and Morocco have built up a very close relationship. You might also know this, that in almost the same amount of time, since roughly 2023, Spain and Israel have been mortal enemies. Spain, under a left-wing government, has been hypercritical of Israel, their genocide in Gaza, and Israel's ministers, specifically Netanyahu. Spanish ministers have called for Netanyahu to be arrested. They've placed an arms embargo on Israel. They've refused ships docking access in Spain that are delivering weapons to Israel. And so the Israelis are only all too happy to see their close friend and ally Morocco seize by proxy through immigration a couple of cities, a colonial remnant in northern Africa belonging to their mortal enemy, Spain. And this policy just so happened to have been co-signed by the Republican-controlled House of Representatives just a few months ago here in the United States. So what you may see on video is a clash of civilizations between Europeans and Muslims. What you see on video might appear to be a Muslim attack on the West. And it is. And certainly it is. It is a Muslim attack on the United States, or rather, I should say on Europe, on Western civilization. It is an invasion of the first world by the third world peasants and savages. But upon closer inspection, when you really understand what is happening, you realize the third worlders are having a lot of help. They're having a lot of help from the U.S., from Israel, and also from Spain's own left-wing government. There's some domestic considerations as well, which we'll get into. And it really is this triangulation of the Muslim savages, the left wing, and the Jewish oligarchy, which is facilitating and accelerating the invasion of the West by massive amounts of migrants. It gives credence to the idea that the only solution, the only way forward for any of these countries is nationalism. We have to get in the middle of all of this. Not the left, not the third worldist Muslims, and not them, not the Israelis, not the Jewish oligarchs. The only thing that can break all three is nationalism. Whites, Christians, Americans, the people of the first world have to take our own side against all these different groups. They all have a hand in it. They're all liable.
Yeah, and that's true. And by the way, So during the invasion of 2020, 2021, actually, Biden didn't get into office until 2021. Remember when he said, when I become president, if I surge the border? Well, they paid NGOs, not government organizations, to and funded all of the migrants. They all got checks. They all got paid. The same thing's going to happen in Spain. The oligarchies there are going to do the same thing. They're going to pay these people to be there, and they're going to take over that country, just like they're trying to take over our country. Have you seen what happened in New York? How about New York? We have our new. We have a Muslim mayor of New York. Did you know that? It's pretty interesting, and they're taking over a little at a time. And I'm not one side or the other. I'm America first, but I'm not like I don't give a shit who you are. Stay in your country or come here and adapt our lifestyle. If you can't adapt our lifestyle and you want to do prayer rugs in the middle of Central Park and all that stuff, it's not for here. It's just not.
I'm finding it really hard to grasp, because if the World Cup's big, I'm still stuck on the World Cup. Right?
Let's have it.
I'm stuck on it, right? Because like if the United States won, it would have been a big, huge party.
Right.
Spain won for the first time in 20 years or something, right? And like that's a big deal. It was a world spectacle.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, I know. It was on every TV everywhere except
It
for my
was.
TV.
Yeah. Well, so it's just the timing of this is like, if I lived close to there, I'd like to go party with them.
You think that's what it is? Think they're partying?
I
You think
they're
those?
pro-
You
I
think
think
those
it's a long
40,000?
party. Yeah.
You think those 40,000 are there to party?
Oh yeah.
No, they're
Yeah.
kicking doors down right now.
So did the Rodney King riots and all that. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know what they do over there. You know what I mean? I'm not being like it's the LA Dodgers they did a little riots. You know what I mean? It's who knows what other countries do. That's what it's a big old party. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's going to be an oligarchy party over there for sure. I'd be willing to bet that that we're going to hear about what happened. So this is the thing. So with globalism, global capture, and the GDP and all that stuff, I'm not up on financial markets and all that stuff. I'm not into it. I mean, I should be more, and it's something that I've been talking to with my my people that a little bit about knowing more about local politics and stuff like that. And part of that is knowing what's going on with, their local governments and stuff like that. And so, Thomas and I have been, talking about stuff like that. And one of the things is that people that just watch, the news or their feed, whatever they get fed, because if you watch let me give you an example. If you watch chicks with tits all day on your phone, while you're at lunch scrolling or after work or before work or whatever, you're on the shit or whatever, your feed is that only. It won't give you nothing else. If you're looking at guns and ammo in the morning, that's all that comes across your screen. It's just, and so if you're not looking at this kind of stuff, you don't know what's going on unless you're watching like informational podcasts like this, where people are talking about world issues and current events and all that stuff. And I believe that this is part of the takedown of the world. Little places all over the place, they're going to arm them and they're going to attack. I just believe that. I believe that we're going to get attacked at some point right here on and we're going to talk about it tonight a little bit. And you watch the show enough, you've seen some of the stuff that we've shown about how they do this and how they take, and it isn't like they just, not like they attack. They get over here, they get in there what they call cells, and they just train. They just train. And they're in the mosque. There's one right around the corner. And when I drive by there, I'm like, oh God. I mean, you could just tell. I mean, they're out there in their dresses and shit. They're
I got one right around the corner from my house.
Suits and shit.
was hard to park at my house today. There was something going on over there.
They're training right
There's
now.
something
They're
going on
training for
today.
the World Cup. They're training
For the World Cup.
So
Got it.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to cover that just a little bit. It's new, and you know, my that follow me know that I wait until it drops, until the truth comes out about whatever's going on before I cover it. But I wanted to at least say this is going on for the people that are watching this, you know, Fox News, and they run across this show and like, oh, this is interesting. What's going on here? And they get this information because when I knew nothing and I'd hear something like this, my chest would start pounding because I'm like, what do you mean they're invading the country? You know what I mean? So, you know, but let's move on. So we're going to put a pin in that for right now. We'll be covering this some more this week.
The Knicks just won the NBA championship last month, right? Middle of last month. And that was a week-long party. This is a 4-year for the next one. I think it's just a super big party.
Okay.
That's what I'm leaning towards.
I should have put that in my description. Big party in Spain with 49,000 refugees from third world country.
Yeah.
They're here to party. They're here to rape your children and your wife and your kids is what they're here for. That's what they do. By the way, that's what they do.
April 26, 1992. There was a riot on the streets of LA.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Rodney King and what was his name? Reginald Denny. Remember him, the truck driver? Anyway, let's move it on a little bit. Let's talk about the pardon master. I mean, hey, listen. So we watched Fauci on in the Senate lots of times, lying to them, telling them that, you know, all this stuff, and then he came out recently 3 or 4 months ago, and he said that he was willing to come in and talk to them and have a conversation about whatever. He has nothing to hide. And then he gets there and he pleads the fifth 111 times. That tells you everything you need to know about Mr. Fauci.
That's commitment.
That's commitment. And they threw his lawyer out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't need him.
No. They threw him out because he wouldn't shut up.
He knew what to say.
Hold on a second. Let's watch this Bound report real quick.
I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. I can explain and validate everything that I've done. So, you know, it's going to be inconvenient if they actually are out there essentially threatening to make my life miserable. But I'm going to do what I need to do, and that is cooperate fully because we have nothing to hide at all.
Despite Joe Biden's last-minute preemptive pardon shielding him from past alleged crimes, Anthony Fauci still faced a high-stakes Senate grilling under subpoena from Rand Paul, where any new falsehood under oath about gain-of-function funding, the Wuhan lab leak, alleged destroyed records, or the contradictions in his own newly released diaries could expose him to fresh perjury charges that the pardon does not cover.
You could not hide that your agency had funded the Wuhan research or your long history of defending gain-of-function research. The only alternative left was to argue that COVID-19 did not originate in the Wuhan lab. You were not a detached observer. You had an institutional interest in the public believing that federally funded research had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was a conflict of interest from the very beginning. The authors of the proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2 privately had serious doubts about a natural origin. Within days, though, they flipped, and they all wrote in proximal origin that the virus was almost certainly not a laboratory construct. That paper was then used by the government and the media and you to discredit Americans who were asking the same questions that you and the authors were asking yourselves privately.
Fauci's preemptive Biden pardon theoretically shields him from past criminal charges tied to his NIH work. He faced no genuine risk of self-incrimination and therefore had no valid Fifth Amendment privilege to refuse answering questions. Answers to questions millions of Americans demand. Any attempt to invoke it at the hearing could allow the committee to compel his testimony and pursue a contempt finding.
So what was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder.
Under advice of his stable of high-priced attorneys, Fauci pleaded the Fifth 111 times to a variety of simple and inane questions, causing him to look incredibly desperate.
This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise, his lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right. But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered. For a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room. In the red folder on your table is a copy of Section 192 of Title II of the U.S. Code. Your counsel has been provided a copy as well. That section makes it a crime for a witness appearing under subpoena to refuse to answer any questions pertinent to the question under inquiry. Do you have that in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the witness has refused to answer whether there's a folder in front of him based on his Fifth Amendment right.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
A mockery.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know.
Can you do me a favor in the audience and stand up if during the time of the COVID pandemic, you were called a racist for calling the virus a Wuhan virus or the China virus? If you thought the 6-foot rule was total crap, if you thought the vaccine wasn't something that you should take, if you thought it was outrageous the way the mask policy was rolled out, if you were fired from your job for not taking that vaccine, including members of the military, if you thought closing schools was catastrophically stupid, and that you thought that during these times saying these things made you somehow a lesser human being. Dr. Fauci, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you? You're not willing to do that? That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyers, not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them? It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the f do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country.
Democrats predictably fear-mongered the distraction, painting the disgraced doctor as some kind of victim of Rand Paul's singular ire.
I think today's hearing, unfortunately, does real damage. It's attempting to turn one person into the scapegoat for a crisis that hundreds of officials across both the Trump and the Biden administration we're responsible for handling. It does so in a way that people that are facing death threats, this is only going to unfortunately deter other scientific experts from public service. Understand that this is what they would have to go through as they provide their advice to us.
It must be enormously frustrating to know that this hearing is designed to entrap you.
For the past 18 months, the Trump administration has been engaged in a campaign to rewrite this history. And today's proceeding, I fear, is part of that effort, one of the darkest days in our Senate's history.
Researchers that I talked to who are now either leaving the country or considering leaving the country to do their work because of the sheer unpredictability of America. That this nation so great, so powerful has now been crippled with this sense of unpredictability and unreliability. That is not the type of country that I hope we strive to be.
But Americans aren't buying it anymore, and the Dems' stubborn refusal to even glance at the damning information Rand Paul put online, including the diaries, the ivermectin suppression, the remdesivir or run death is here disaster, the VAERS evidence, and the 24% of Americans who believe the shot killed one of their family members.
The accusation that the committee has denied access to the minority to records is categorically false. This is the most transparent investigation in the history of Congress. We actually created a website and we put all of the information on the website. It continues to operate. The reason it hasn't been accessed is no Democrat ever signed up for it. Not one Democrat. We told them the access. They never asked for the access code. They haven't been on the website because they have not cared about the investigation.
Despite Anthony Fauci's appearance on Capitol Hill, the COVID monstrosity continues to lurch forward unchecked as the CDC hands pharmaceutical giant Pfizer a jaw-dropping $1.24 billion in fresh contracts for adult and pediatric COVID shots through 2027, prompting Senator Ron Johnson to demand answers from HHS and the FDA over why tax dollars are still showering Big Pharma with cash while ignoring the overwhelming evidence.
Currently, worldwide, there have been almost 1.7 million adverse events reported to the VAERS system. Of those, over 39,000 were deaths. And of those deaths, 24% occur on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days. 24%, which, by the way, just happens to be the same percentage that a Rasmussen poll pointed out the American public believe 24% of the American public believe they know somebody who died of the experimental gene therapy.
But we already know nothing will happen to DC's precious little Dr. Anthony Mengele Fauci. Per usual, it's the rest of us that are punished. Many have already had their lives upended, while many others were executed.
We found that 73.9% of those deaths were from the vaccine. We did do a systematic review of 325 peer-reviewed autopsy cases. We looked at all of them, adjudicated all of them, were they from the vaccine or not. Unfortunately, yes, they are deadly. FDA Class 1 recall should have happened years ago. It's exceeded past vaccine withdrawal limits by like hundreds of thousands of percent. About 4 independent estimates of American COVID-19 vaccine deaths. It ranges from about 470,000 from Pfizer alone up to 840,000 American deaths from the COVID-19 vaccines. We have to remember that is rivaling the American soldier death toll of World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and the Iraq War combined.
Meanwhile, the machine that Fauci helped build refuses to die. John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network at alexjoneslive.com.
That is very, 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 very sad that has happened. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that. I mean, that report is huge. And so, we knew all this was going on. We all got banned off the internet for talking about it. We'll probably get a strike tonight for this alleged stuff that's going on because that's what happens. But I refuse to bend the knee to it because this is really what's going on. And you know, it's sad to think that nothing will happen to these people. Nothing will happen to them. But I have a few more. So let's
He'd be a good co-defendant, though.
because he's holding
He keeps his mouth shut.
He's holding to his
Right.
holding to his context. That's for sure. He is not talking. I plead the fifth. Yeah. Anyway, one more. I'm not going to get too deep into this because that right there says it all. That report says it all. I mean, but I thought that it was interesting because he had several opportunities to leave the table, and I think that it was a stunt myself personally, and I'll show you the clip where the lawyer was sitting there and he was he telling him to stop talking and get off the table, and he kept talking, and then when he told him to leave the room, he smiled like it was in a stunt. It seemed like a stunt to me, so I'll show you that.
Table, and we told you you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise, his lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him, all right? But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the ring.
Yeah, and you know, and you see the smile on his face when he got thrown out. I mean, the whole thing is. I got one more, a very important one for all the people that were talking about how ivermectin was call it a paste or animal paste or some bullshit.
Got the studies right here. There was a website. It was tracking random controlled studies. They are showing 60, 70% efficacy of ivermectin. Same day you say there's no evidence, there's all kinds of evidence. Loved ones had to go to hospitals, had to sue hospitals. Just, would you try it? So I would want to know, to what extent were you involved in sabotaging hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and that because you knew the only way you get an emergency use authorization for these drugs, experimental gene therapy, was if there was no effective treatment, emergency authorization. So is that why you help sabotage cheap generic drugs in favor of remdesivir, which, by the way, nurses, for the fact that nurses called it run death is here?
On the advice of counsel,
What a turd, dude. That is fucking horrible. Yeah. We all seen the deaths. We've seen people up there, reporters up there, doing reports and just falling over dead. Sports people, football player, all that stuff back then. I'm not going to play the clip because at this point, the point has been made. But Dr. David Martin has a good point about this whole thing that's going on right here. and how the professionals, the real professionals, were talking about this back when all this was going on, and saying that this was not going to help anybody, and that that they needed to take ivermectin, different things like that, and they were not allowed to prescribe. They took it off the market in pharmacies and was causing pharmacy. They wouldn't even let them stock it on the shelves for years. We had to get it from overseas when we wanted ivermectin back then. So stand by.
Welcome, everyone. This is a special broadcast. I'm here with Dr. David Martin, who has been at the forefront of the global development and transfer of intellectual property and finance for more than 30 years in over 120 countries. His expertise as a medical school professor and researcher has placed him in a unique position of monitoring the bioweapons program around the world. In 2020, I chose Dr. David Martin as the key speaker in episode 2 of my Plandemic series. He did not disappoint, as he gave us a guided tour that followed the paper and patent trail right to the front door of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease and its director, Dr. Anthony Fauci. In light of the U.S. Senate committee hearing happening right now, Dr. Martin and I are reuniting to expose the very details the media is working very hard to keep hidden from you. Dr. Martin, with respect to time and short attention spans, let's jump right into the deep end.
Beautiful, Mickey. It's great to be back, and it's wonderful to use this moment to remind people that the hearing that just took place, led by Senator Rand Paul, attended by Senator Johnson, Senator Hawley, and others, is a very interesting ongoing part of the cover-up, which many of us have been aware of since long before we were told about SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. And it's important at this moment in time to realize that the cover-up about the 2014, to be specific, the January 1st, 2014 immunity document that came out as part of Biden's pardon of Fauci, is itself a smokescreen. And it's critical that we understand that under the Patriot Act, and specifically under Section 802 of the Patriot Act and other components, including Section 2339, the statute of limitations for domestic terrorism resulting in the death of Americans has no statute of limitation. And in this particular case, precedes all of the 2014 pardon by several years. It's important for everybody to realize that beginning in 2002, and you heard the date correctly, in 2002, Anthony Fauci, together with Ralph Baric, made a modification of the coronavirus so that it would target human heart and human lung tissue. In 2005, they announced that they had what they called synthetic coronavirus as a, quote, biowarfare enabling technology. I don't know if that sounds like an innocent, kind of Sunday school picnic to you, but last time I checked, biowarfare enabling technology is a rather straightforward position. And then the smoking gun, which actually gives us the ability to show that it was an act of domestic terrorism, is actually a grant. And it's a grant that's referenced in the 2016 paper that said that SARS-CoV-2 was, and I quote, poised for human emergence from a model that was jointly developed by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill and by the Wuhan Institute of Virology using a thing called WIV1, the Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1. The grant number U19A 107810, which has Anthony Fauci and Ralph Baric's fingerprints all over it, began on September 29th, 2009, a full 5 years in advance of the pardon. So when we are told that there is supposedly no way Congress can prosecute Anthony Fauci, that there's no way for the Justice Department to hold him accountable because of a 2014 pardon, it is critical for all of us to listen and share and promote this conversation so that our congressional leaders understand that Anthony Fauci, together with Ralph Baric, committed acts of domestic terrorism as defined by the statute, for which there is neither pardon nor statute of limitation. So the 85-year-old Dr. Anthony Fauci, Mr. Science, who pleads the fifth, still has a legal pathway to be held accountable for all of his actions that led to the death of millions of people around the world.
And long before COVID, as we know his history, this is a repeated MO.
That's exactly right. And it's important for us to continue to recite the fact that there was no such thing as SARS, not SARS 1.0. There was no such thing as SARS until Ralph Baric modified coronavirus to hit human lung epithelial cells back in 2003. So the whole notion of SARS as a disease is something that was created by, funded by, and entirely supported by the gain of function research, which by 2005 was officially labeled bio warfare enabling technology.
Dr. David Martin, thank you so much once again for bringing clarity to an otherwise very confusing and intentionally messy narrative. As the people, our power to bypass the gatekeepers of free speech is simply within your hands by sharing this video, by making it viral. And I mean right away, because this hearing ends very soon and a decision is going to be made. And we're making this video to hopefully impact that decision. So please share it and don't stop.
As always, Mickey, thank you. And I want to acknowledge the fact that you amplified a voice that ultimately was heard around the world. What you did with Plandemic put this conversation front and center a long time ago. And as you just said, the public can make a difference. This is an act of domestic terrorism, which resulted in the death of Americans. No statute of limitation, no presidential pardon gets you out of the crosshairs of that allegation. So thank you, Mickey.
And thank you very much.
So, you know who Mickey is? You know who either one of them are?
Nope.
So Mickey's brother got killed by Fauci, allegedly. I got to say that because I'll get sued. During the AIDS outbreak when they were giving them AZT. So now he's a film producer. He does all these films. Did you see the film Plandemic? It was out a bunch of years ago, and it's a really good movie or documentary about COVID and about the whole thing. And he's just a stud. I mean, just badass. But the reason why I did that, played this stuff, is because what has happened in the past to us, our children, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our neighbors, our kids, can never be undone. What they did to our children just by putting them behind a screen, a computer screen for 2 years, is just that alone is enough. I mean, it was great for the therapists because all the therapists had plenty of work because it fucked up the kids. You know what I mean? And out of all the stuff that I've done in the last coming up on 6 years of doing this show, that is the one thing. And it used to piss me off because YouTube would give me a strike, and then I have to, all the stuff when it's the truth, and we proved it over and over and over. And I had scientists on, and they called them all conspiracy theorists and all that stuff. Judy Mikovits and all that stuff. I mean, it's just like, man, what in the hell? And now years later, because everything that's bad always comes around. Everything goes up, has to come down. And now people, normal people, 9-to-5ers, they're like, oh my God, are you serious? That really did happen. That's why cancer is up 40% and all these different things. It's because of what this guy did. And it goes all the way back to the 90s and with AZT and AIDS. So anyway, got a joke for that one?
I don't really have a joke for it,
but you know what I mean? It's like it's fucking so sick, dude.
COVID wasn't cool.
No.
I ruined it. Pretty serious for me.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that I got a shot.
Yeah, well,
I was forced into it.
Yeah, I get it.
If I wanted to hug my grandma.
A lot of us were. And And think about what happened to some of our friends that got sick. They put them. I mean, this is horrible. They put them in the hospital. And they put them on remdesivir, and it killed them. You know what I mean? Or back then. And I'm going to get to a point here in a minute. So don't think that I'm just talking. I'm not. I really have a point here. But the people that ended up if you got COVID, you went to the hospital. They said, come back when you can't breathe. What? That's what they did. They tell you go home and you'll either get better or you'll get sicker. And when you get sicker, come on back and we'll take care of you then. That is absolutely ridiculous. They should have gave you something for it and got then they started giving them like a year or two in, they started giving them some stuff that probably wasn't good for their bodies and all because they were using Prolaxin or whatever it was. Anyway, the point is, what they've done to us, they will repeat if we don't do something about it. If our voices are not heard, and when they try this again, which, listen, it's like false flags, it's like war, it's like all these different things that they do to us right now that they're doing to us, whether it's an assassination of a figure or telling your kids you're going to go to school in your bedroom for 2 years. The whole thing. If we don't do something about it, they will do it again. They've tried. Let's see. Just since 22, they've tried what? Bird flu, all these different things. I mean, they killed all the chickens. Remember that? They literally killed all the chickens because they said that they had bird flu.
Well, I think the serious thing right now is the exploding diarrhea. Heard of that? The psychoplasm or whatever.
I heard something about it.
Yeah, my brother thinks it's everything. We're not supposed to eat lettuce and Taco Bell. And,
And, I covered it a couple weeks ago.
I had it for like 3 weeks. Yeah, it was gnarly.
Iceberg lettuce linked to cyclopharia outbreak in 5 states.
Well, yeah, they said that Taco Bell was to blame for it, and then 3 days later, they're like, "Oh, we're just kidding. It wasn't them."
Yeah, of course, it wasn't.
So that
because you know why? The donors, the funding, the people that own it.
Yeah,
probably BlackRock. BlackRock owns everything.
What the hell is BlackRock?
BlackRock, Vanguard, they're the ones, State Street, they're the ones that you got to do your research. That they own everything. They own at least 51% of everything. Little pieces of all kinds.
So
of
it's
everything.
no longer the Rockefellers. And
Same thing.
It's all
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all the same Rockefeller group. Yeah. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna put a pin in that one. That's a tough one for a lot of people, though. And God bless all of you that made it through, lost family members, and didn't lose your mind behind it, because you know what? They would put grandma in the hospital and make her die by herself. It's just, I'm like, man, it's horrible. Anyway, we're gonna put a pin in that. We'll get back to that on another day after we see what drops from the rest of these hearings and stuff. We'll see what happens. I don't have any faith in the judicial system at all, not even a little bit. I don't think the Senate, the House, the White House, any house is going to do anything about anything. I think they're all actors. Okay. And I guess I'm a little bit black-pilled around certain things because I've just seen 2 years almost. Well, I guess it's 18 months, 19 months, and we haven't had any arrests for any of the things that have happened. So anyway, let's get into the flock cameras. What do you think? You want to talk about them spying on you?
I'm a little nervous about that. A lot of knowledge in it.
Do you know about do you know about those black boxes that have the solar panels above them? Those are the flock cameras.
Yeah, I see them getting sold.
Yeah.
Recently, I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
That was always something I stayed away from knowing, because the more I know about it, the more I'm going to trip on it.
Yeah. Well, they're
true.
spying on us.
So here we go. Let's
everything they do is about spying on us.
Let's get some nightmares going.
All right, let's do it.
I don't think that I've ever in 10 years had an item that's come before us where virtually 100% of the people gave the same position on it. Yeah, I'm concerned about the people that came up and said sincerely that the flock is impacting their trust.
Flock Safety and its army of automated license plate readers have blanketed more than 5,000 American communities with tens of thousands of cameras that quietly photograph every vehicle that rolls past, logging plates, make, model, color, stickers, and direction of travel into a searchable national database that police and private clients can query without a warrant. These systems, sold under the banner of public safety, create precisely the kind of persistent location tracking mosaic that the Supreme Court warned against. Yet courts remain split while the cameras keep multiplying and the data keeps flowing across jurisdictions.
The technology is really simple. A car drives by, we take a picture, that's a static picture of a car, and then we read the license plate. That's what the technology is. So it's actually not that complicated. It's pretty simple.
And then they put it into a database. And this is where it gets really scary, because now you have pictures of every innocent person who drives by in a database that is kept for a month or more and shared throughout the nation with all of Flock's law enforcement customers, and in fact, even internationally with people associated with Flock. And so essentially, even though in America, one of our core constitutional principles is privacy, we have a company working with governments to record the comings and goings of every single person in the country as if you and I and everyone else were potential criminals. And that is in my opinion, a very un-American take on privacy and the way that we engage in criminal justice enforcement.
Ayala investigation triggered an internal audit of the Flock system department-wide. Court records show that audit revealed Detective Taranji Chapman used the system to track the movements of two citizens 20 times between January 2024 and January 2025, inputting the terms test or training into the system to explain the reason for the searches.
This is an image of how many Flock cameras there were on February 25th of 2024. Then June 2025, this is how many they put up in that time frame. Then here is March 2026. How many cameras they put up, Flock cameras, which of course the cover story is to make things safer and better. But this looks like a surveillance grid going up in real time.
Just knowing that there's cameras watching your every move. I mean, even if I'm out walking my dog or anything, I think it's just a privacy issue.
What makes the operation especially galling is the quiet lengths to which the company and its partners go to keep their own presence out of the public eye, even as they film the rest of us without consent or meaningful notice.
Oh, wait, you don't feel safe being surveilled. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what you guys do to us without our consent. And I think it's interesting when you guys have this happen, you call the police and make us get stopped, but then you do it and it's okay?
I mean, our device will call the police regardless. What we'd like you to do is basically we're saying that you're trespassing on this site.
This same network that loves to crow about how transparent it is for the cops turns around and runs the whole charade like a black site operation when it comes to the rest of us. The watchers stay carefully unwatched, while ordinary people's constitutional rights get quietly carved up and sold off under the soft, never-blinking glow of the Eye of Sauron.
There are three things you need to do this system. One is you need the digital ID. That is the core. And that's why they were pushing so hard for vaccine passports. That was one of the pathways to approval digital ID. The second thing they need is they need the hardware and software infrastructure. So they need the data centers, they need the underground cables, they need the camera, the license plate reader. So part of it is surveillance, because the control comes in two ways: spatial control and then financial transaction control. And then the third one, of course, is programmable money.
This is getting nuts. People across the country cutting down our Flock cameras. You see what the problem is? These lunatics think that our cameras that are surveilling the masses at all times are some kind of mass surveillance network. Hey, Lisa, as the kids, no, you don't know me, but I know you.
John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network at alexjoneslive.com.
Yeah, and so there it is. And that is and I have more on the Flock cameras for sure. But, You hear what they said? It's more than just reading your license plate. They're using it to track you. They're putting the information in databases. They're putting data centers all over the United States and other countries too, and they're storing all the information. It's staying for longer than 30 days for sure. But they say it's only
that movie Eagle Eye. It was out like 15 years ago, right? And it had all this stuff. And I was always told like Hollywood's going to show stuff and introduce us to stuff that they already have the technology of, and they're going to roll it out 10 years later. Like, so I've already, like, once I saw that movie, I already programmed my brain or thought, I'm like, oh, they know everything I'm doing.
Did you see Leave the World Behind?
Not sure.
Or
Maybe.
Civil War?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So those movies are exactly what's going on right now. It's just not moving as fast as those movies were like right now. But Leave the World Behind, the internet goes out.
Yeah.
Planes drop out of the air. Boats crash into the animals are acting all weird. They're all like, it was pretty weird. I mean, and that's exactly what's going on. I mean, and Hollywood, this is what I've realized. This is what I've seen along the way from doing this research, and I'm grateful for the show because I learned so much. I'm like a data center.
Yeah, I get it.
And
I see that.
And because I was dumb, I knew nothing, dude. I was like, man, this is what Boyd told me. He said, give me a month, and if after a month you don't feel or you don't have some kind of a understanding or you don't think that you need to continue to pay attention to what's going on, go put your head back in the sand. You know what I mean? And I just was like, right? And the truth is some people are like, you're fucking gone. No, I'm not. I'm on it, dude. I know what the fuck I need to do. I know that I need to have restorable food, a generator, fucking battery operated house, and fucking cell phone, sat phone. I need all the stuff so I can make sure that like if something happens, I'm good. You know what I mean? And so definitely a lot. And I lost my train of thought, and it'll probably come back in a minute. But let's keep going because Aaliyah is going to break it down. There's a couple of these. One of them is that it's not one of the things about the flock camera and really all the data cameras, but the flock camera specifically does more than just tracks your car. It does retina scans, and it's.
What about these hands?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's why you should have a Faraday bag, and anytime you're not using it, it should be in a Faraday bag. And then, but you'll miss phone calls. But I mean, I hate phone calls. I hate the phone. I hate that fucking thing. I mean, I do. I hate it. And it calls. That you're supposed to keep those 4 feet away from you, right? At night, you should have it plugged in at least 4 feet away from you because it causes fucking cancer. You know that, right?
Oh well.
Anyway, let's keep going. Don't get me on the wrong.
Let's talk about the
wrong
taser
road
company
here.
that bought a police state and how I think it's worse than Flock and somehow flying under our radar. If you haven't seen my video on Flock, go check it out. It's in my pinned videos because we still have an issue with Flock. So we're not giving up on that one. But today we need to talk about Axon. Axon actually started in 1993 as Taser, the literal tasers that we all know. Their friends were in a road rage incident and they wanted something that wasn't a gun to fight back. That's how Taser came about. And they sold just tasers until 2017. So what, 24 years? Then in 2017, they changed their name to Axon and they started buying a bunch of stuff, including body cameras, including the cloud that stored everything for police, like evidence.com. And that's when a weapons company turned into a software company that lives now within police departments. So what is it now? I've done deep dives on Flock and I've talked about Axon, but they're in 18,000 police departments. And they have roughly 85% of the body cam market. In the last 3 years, which is a little alarming, they went on a shopping spree. Hermes, guys. They bought the real-time crime centers that watch every camera in the city. They bought a drone company. They bought 2 911 companies, including Carbine. Carbine was founded by Ehud Barak, who was the former PM of My Country, E's best friend. I've done a whole thing. The other founder of Toka, they bought that for $625 million. It also has the AI that writes police reports, and what it does is wipe what was written by AI versus what was written by the police officer after, so you don't know which is which. And now they have their sights on cameras. So one company now owns the chain from the time you dial 911 to the evidence that is given in court for the criminal. Let's talk about how it's different than Flock and why I think it's scarier. Flock is an add-on. The police departments buy it, put it on light poles, and it tracks your license plate. And actually, Axon was one of the first investors in Flock, and it just separated from them to do their own thing. But here's the difference. If you don't like Flock, you cut the contract, the cameras come down, the bolts on the cameras come off, it's done. A lot of cities are doing it right now because we are successful in our get rid of Flock. In fact, 80 plus towns have already done this. Axon, it's not an add-on. Axon is already its own system in police departments. Crime centers don't just use Axon cameras. They vacuum up every feed from every camera in the city. Public, private, Ring cameras. The same Ring cameras who said they weren't going to work with Flock because it's an invasion. Axon does. Axon even uses Flock cameras. They're allowed to do that. All in one computer screen. You can't just vote this out. It's not just voting Axon out. It's ingrained in these police departments. That was my first red flag. Axon also has cameras that are being integrated now into streetlights that cannot be taken down. Their new cameras called light posts get built directly into the streetlights, and they can be installed in under an hour. No permit fight, nothing sticking up for the citizens that don't want it. And they did it under our noses. But it gets worse because the company has a record. Reuters came out and said that it has been determined that over 1,000 deaths have been caused by tasers. And Axon has a history of suing medical examiners for saying the cause of death was a taser. They even built their own AI ethics board and then got rid of it after they tried to capitalize off of Uvalde using drones to protect schools. And the AI board was like, no, don't do that. They did it anyway and then got rid of the AI board. And I told you about the AI that writes these police reports. So you don't know if what the policeman said or saw versus what the AI claims that it saw. But some prosecutors are already refusing to accept that. Thank God. But here's the big one. In 2019, Axon promised that it would not push facial recognition onto body cameras. But in December of 2025, that was out the door and they started testing it. So what they can do is on these body cameras and other cameras, use facial recognition and put you against a watch list. Not a big deal if you're not on a watch list, right? Except who knows why you would be on a watch list one day. It could be for nothing. It could be for speaking out against something, like Axon. So here's where it's going, in my opinion. Read your car. It puts up cameras that you can't take down. Merging its feed into every screen in police departments. 250 plus cities already. It's got AI writing the official story of what happened. And we know how reliable AI is. It currently has the capability, and it's expanding it, to fly drones to a 911 call. They have a drone capability. They have facial recognition capability. They're in every police department to see all the cameras around. Oh, and this company started as a taser, which is a weapon. So put that together and you get a real-time AI run facial recognition drone patrolled surveillance owned by one private company sitting inside 18,000 police departments already. And all those towns that we're kicking Flock out of, they're turning around and buying Axon. Denver already did it. Douglas County, Colorado already did it. $22 million is what Douglas County, Colorado spent, and they flew in a drone fleet too. Y'all are screwed. Trump invested in it right before it won a $220 million contract. Its original investors were not the Peter Thiel Founders Fund or the 401(k)Z16. It was funded by friends and family. And then they went public. And now everyone owns a piece of them. BlackRock, you, me, and our 401k, everyone. What do we do? Well, same as before, except we need to aim higher. At the city council meetings that I am telling people to go show up to, we can't just mention Flock. We have to mention Axon as well. They have to know that we know about this capability. You can go to EFF Atlas of Surveillance and you can see where these cameras are at. This is only going to work if we stop paying attention and fighting. So we need to be loud. This deep dive is on my Substack, so you can go read all about it with graphics and everything if that's how you digest information better.
You think, Billy? What do you think of that shit? It doesn't get.
I already had a feeling.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I had a feeling that it was that bad.
It's that bad.
Yep.
And it's not getting better. It's getting worse, and it's complete surveillance state. I mean, everything is being tracked, and they're putting in data centers everywhere to store the data. I mean, you know that there's a data center going in underneath the White House, right?
I believe it. Someone showed me a map, kind of like the flock cameras of all the data centers.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and they'll just take your land if they want to put one there. They give you 10 cents on the dollar for it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. Definitely interesting. Definitely something. So this other clip here is about but the thing about it that she's talking about is the drone surveillance that is connected to the flock camera. So it's not just flock cameras on a pole. It's also drones that they manage block system. I'm assuming track. Check it out.
Well, guys, Flock just got wings. Those street side cameras that are already all across America. What if I told you they're not stopping there? The same company behind the cameras are now putting autonomous surveillance drones in the sky. And depending on who you ask, it's either the future of public safety or the more likely option, the biggest expansion of government surveillance we've seen yet. Now the company's automated license plate readers have spread across the country, creating one of the nation's largest interconnected video surveillance networks. After partnering with aviation software company Aerodome, Flock launched Flock Alpha, an autonomous police drone built to respond to emergencies before officers even arrive. The drone sits inside a waterproof docking station waiting for a call, and when a 911 report comes in, the drone can launch automatically and fly up to 60 miles per hour. Officers don't even have to be standing nearby. They can deploy it directly from one of these little things, a smartphone. And this thing isn't just flying overhead. It's got thermal imaging, high-definition cameras, and powerful optical zoom. And well, according to Flock, it can even read a vehicle's license plate from 2,000 feet away. That's not terrifying at all.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is all 100% real. Everything in the video is actually happening. These Flock safety camera drones, they launch from those weatherproof, climate-controlled docking stations. They can reach up to 60 miles an hour. Operators can launch and control them just from a smartphone. They have thermal imaging, high-definition cameras, very, very good night vision and low-light optics, which is right on their website. I'll show you in a second. And they can read a license plate from 2,000 feet away. And if they can read a license plate from 2,000 feet away, guess what? They can see you from 2,000 feet away. And here is the official website, flocksafety.com. And here is the video that goes over that. But first, here is some of the specs. You can kind of go through this at your own pace, but let's just watch what they have to say about these drones. So we are very, very clearly no longer just talking about license plate readers at this point. This is the surveillance state.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that for a minute. Let's get into this for a second. There's something to be said here about surveillance of this, right? So I've seen these people. Cops come to their house. I've showed the clips. They come to the house. You was at this place. We have you on camera. We have you on flock camera. Blah 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 blah. You took this package off the doorstep of this house. You wasn't even there. But because it's operated by AI, you get one number wrong, right? And it's a different person, right? One letter wrong on a license plate because it's, AI, then you're jammed up. And so they asked, who's in charge of these cameras? And they said that Chamber of Commerce or City Hall or something like that's in charge of them. So people started going around and just cutting them down. They're not owned by the government. I mean, they are. They're leased to people from the government. It's weird because the government leases them to people. Like if there's one at Sam's Club or something, right? It's leased to them, but anybody could have access to it if they have the website. Anybody. Your girlfriend's looking for you.
Don't tell me that. I already figured this
Yeah,
one.
yeah, but your girlfriend's looking for you, and she's got the database, and she just types it in. She knows she find. I'm just saying.
I knew it.
You're busted.
I knew it. You know I'm here. But if this was like really utilized, we wouldn't have any crime at all, right?
Well,
And
that's
crime
what
is,
the theory is.
That is. So what are
It's
they
not
really using it for? Because there's
surveillance
on who? Just on people. Just to gain data?
Everybody. Listen.
Just to gain
So
data.
let's use this as an example. We're talking about flock cameras. By morning, you'll be getting ads for flock cameras or for drones or for whatever the topic is that we talk about. We'll get those in our feed tomorrow.
That's good. I need a new feed.
You need a new feed. Your feed's naked.
It's about rim jobs. So not the kind you think.
Almost naked girls.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the minute part. The bigger thing is you take your kids to the park. You don't want your fucking kids on the internet. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't want my kids on the internet. They're retina scanning. Okay? Let's say you're clean and you haven't done a damn thing 25 years. Like me, I haven't been in trouble 25 years. I've been clean almost 25 years. Doing everything I possibly can to be a model citizen.
Right.
But AI can build any model now of you, and now they can do retina scans. So you drive the same place every day, go get your kid from school, whatever, right? And it retina scans you, and maybe you're on a microphone, you're talking about politics, and you're talking about how Gavin Newsom's a rip-off artist, and he's a fucking a stooge, whatever. And they can literally put together a case on you, and don't tell me that the government doesn't do that. We've obviously seen them do this over and over and over. The next thing you know, you got a case for something that you wasn't even a part of. You didn't even go there. You wasn't there. You wasn't nowhere near there, right? And if you don't have a fucking triple alibi, you're in fucking prison for 25 years for some shit that you didn't even do, because that's what we're dealing with nowadays. We're not dealing with the normal 1970s where, like if you're not doing nothing wrong, you're not getting in trouble. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that's the problem. I use J6 as an example. What happened to those people? Those over 1,000 people got arrested at J6 for going to the Capitol, maybe they went in, maybe they didn't go in, maybe they were on the lawn, maybe they were in the rotunda or whatever. They were literally giving people multiple years in prison for protesting, right? It's legal to protest, or it used to be. I mean, it is, but unless you I mean, unless they say it isn't, right? They make the rules as they go, and that's my point. Is like I don't trust any of it. Like I want to take my license plate off my car, don't have any stickers, I mean, because I don't know how the retina scan works if you wear glasses or not, if the retina can get through the glasses. I mean, I assume it can because my phone won't open unless my glasses are on because it's trained to my eyes with my glasses. It's not trained to my eyes without my glasses. So, and that's all retina scan, by the way. So they already have they have it. I mean, it's just wild. It's wild. But let me ask you a question. Do you think this has been going on for 25 years somewhere?
It's been going on for a while.
But do you think it's been going on for a long time and they have all this geo-tracking already and it's just a matter of modeling somebody else's tracking? What am I going to say right now?
Yeah, these phones came out in 2010 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
2009.
They get smarter every day.
Yeah, well, so that's 17 years right there. So it's been before that.
Yeah, but let's watch this. Now, you might take what China does and say that's China. Everything is China here, right? And so China's been doing this forever.
Oh yeah.
And they literally, well, yeah, they were welding people in their houses in China during COVID. You know that, right? They were welding their doors shut.
That light moving between the skyscrapers? Not a helicopter, it's a police drone. And in Shenzhen, it patrols the sky every day. It uses AI to spot illegal parking, wrong way driving, cars in the emergency lane, speeding, and collects the evidence automatically. And if you're the one doing it, it can talk to you. A voice from the sky telling you to move. This isn't a pilot. Shenzhen runs 17 automated patrol routes. By the end of 2024, these drones had flagged 44,000 traffic incidents. Accident scenes that used to take officers half an hour cleared in about 5 minutes. Honestly, this looks like a deleted scene from Blade Runner, except it's not a movie. It's just Shenzhen on a normal Tuesday. Cyberpunk was supposed to be a warning. Somebody read it as a to-do list. It's already up there, flying. From publicly available sources, this is real. Make of that what you will.
So China's been doing it for years. They have the retina geo-tracking. They have all that stuff. Everybody on the street. And if you do something wrong, they just come get you. But they don't have the freedoms in quotation marks that we are supposed to have. Right? They don't have a constitution like we have or a bill of rights or, any of that stuff that we're supposed to have.
Is that why they're all over here now?
We let him in. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, what do you think's going to end up going on here? Where do you think this is going?
I can't wait till the phone does a teleport or I could talk to it and see people and stuff, like a telegram or something. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? It's happening. It's coming.
Like iPhone?
Yeah.
Like an iPhone?
Like they'll just pop up. Like you see on Marvel movies. Like they already have that technology. I know they do.
So I'll
be talking to my daughter and stuff.
You could put the stupid thing on your face and go into a Matrix or Matrix.
The sky's the limit with the technology, man.
So there is a bill to get rid of. I'm going to play this Tim Burchett clip real quick. It's a short one, but it's because we could talk about what they're doing. What are we going to do about it? And it's Congress, so Congress don't really do nothing. They got to have a bill, and they have submitted a bill for to get rid of flock cameras. Now, it might sit on desk for 5 years before they do anything about it, because if they're not getting paid to take care of stuff at the House of Representatives, they don't do shit. But anyway,
well, in 5 years they'll have all the data they need, right?
They won't data. They know. Well, I was told that it's going to self-destruct, but I don't see how. Stand by.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I proposed legislation. Here's the bill to eliminate federal funding and federal agencies purchasing those flock cameras. I find it pretty disgusting. They're pretty draconian, and you can look that up if you want to know what that means. It's called the Protection Against Mass Surveillance Act, and it prohibits federal agencies from purchasing, deploying, or contract with automated surveillance systems. These things violate our constitutional rights. I've always been for protecting constitutional freedoms. I think it's one of the most important responsibilities, one of the important things we do as congressmen, do anything at all. We just tend to keep giving away your rights. Americans should never choose between safety and liberty. We got to keep our country safe, but we keep sacrificing the freedoms that, of course, that define us. It violates the Fourth Amendment. I've consistently opposed these warrantless surveillances and policies, and they'll weaken our privacy rights like crazy. We've already seen incidents where cops have used these things to pursue ladies for dating purposes or stalking or whatever. It's happened a couple of times, but it's the reality of where we are as a country. And these things are brought in. These are just revenue generators, and then they use them for other things. Trust but verify. That's what Reagan said. These law enforcement intelligence agencies, they got to have tools to address these threats, but taking our constitutional rights is not on the table. This legislation, of course, it'll hopefully restore the constitutional balance between national security and individual liberty. Luna's on it with me. I've been speaking to Mayor Jacobs about this, working in coordination with him on this thing. So hopefully we'll get some movement out of this. Call your legislators. Tell them we need it. We got to ban these dadgum things. Tell them to support the Protection Against Mass Surveillance Act. Of course, thank y'all for sending me here. Let's get them.
Yeah, well, yeah, anything at this point, anything, right? I mean, when you have no privacy anymore, pretty sad. It is. It's pretty sad. Anything you want to say about that?
I'm leaving my phone outside the bathroom from now on.
Outside of the bathroom?
Yeah, outside of the bathroom. Not taking it on the shitter anymore. Okay. For sure.
All right, so let's talk about Israel and this. You know that they're giving over our rights to Israel? You know about that? So, 219, this whole thing is about Israel. It's all about Israel right now. And one of the things that they've done is they're sharing our military secrets, weaponry, all of our, all the stuff that makes us a sovereign country, Israel. And whether you like Israel or not, it's not something that we should do with any country outside of the United States. It's just not something that we should do. And there's always the CIA working with these other countries and doing all this stuff for the benefit of the United States and all that stuff. That's one thing. But this is saying we're just going to cut it right down the middle, and you guys get half and we get half. We're just going to be best buddies, and we're going to share military and all that stuff. It's just not. It's crazy. So anyway, we'll do this report real quick, and then we'll get into what it exactly is with these other people that are breaking it down. And it's a longer segment, so stand by.
The Pentagon just cranked Israel's counterintelligence threat level all the way up to critical, the highest designation, right there with our worst adversaries. U.S. officials are now using burner phones and staying tight-lipped in hotel rooms when they visit Israel because the Israelis are aggressively spying on top Trump administration people, digging for inside dope on decisions about Iran and Lebanon. This isn't some rogue operation. It's all coordinated, hyper-aggressive espionage from our so-called closest ally. Jonathan Pollard-style damage from the past should have been a warning, but here we are again. Americans are rightly asking how an ally that spies on us at this level gets treated like family.
With me, I don't care if you start throwing nukes immediately, responsibly, but immediately. And a case that I've been pushing is the use of an electromagnetic pulse weapon or weapons against Iran. Why are we waiting to get hit?
That's Jonathan Pollard, most famous Israeli spy in modern history, who sold out our secrets, got our agents killed, you name it. He sold to the Russians, the Chinese, the Israelis, everybody. And remember, Trump pardoned him back at the end of his first administration. So now Israel's funding will be within the Pentagon in joint weapons development, but they're going to be allowed into everything and be able to claim co-ownership of the U.S. military-industrial complex that Eisenhower told us to beware the technological elite that control the military-industrial complex. So think about that. Then you've got 38 states that have passed laws or executive orders that if you criticize Israel anyway, or ever boycott Israel, or criticize Zionism, or what happened in Gaza, these are laws that you cannot have any government contracts or government jobs. Totally illegal, unconstitutional tyranny. And that's because Israel admits they're moving their weapons industries here to the United States. And so now if you criticize anything that Israel's doing, you're shut down by the state governments, violating our First Amendment. You add that with the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, you got to read that for yourself. Total lifetime fusion integration of everything, from academia to DARPA to MIT to secret weapons development to live intelligence, telemetry, weapons guidance, weapons systems, everything. Remember, the other agencies don't even let each other know what they're doing. The other armed services branches are in competition and let them have their secrets. That's good to keep things compartmentalized. This is, Congress doesn't even know 10% of what the Pentagon's up to. This is Israel's coup against America.
The real gut punch is what's happening in Congress at the exact same time. On the heels of the revelation of Section 224 slowly advancing, Senator Tom Cotton slipped Section 622 into the FY27 Intelligence Authorization Act. This thing locks America into permanent, unbreakable intelligence entanglement with Israel. It mandates expanded sharing, ties it to Israel's qualitative military edge, restricts the president or future Congress from scaling it back without jumping through huge legal hoops and notifying bought and paid for committees, and even pushes sharing with Abraham Accords countries. There will be no unwinding this. We are looking at Intel Fusion as a pillar of policy, handing over leverage that could bite us hard if relations sour. We'll find ourselves either towing the line for Israel or facing serious consequences. Meanwhile, the Pentagon flags Israel as a top spy threat, and lawmakers are wiring them deeper into our system. This isn't partnership. It's a one-way street that smells like foreign influence money run amok. America first means putting our sovereignty and secrets ahead of any foreign lobby. It's not optional, and it's a major insult on this 250th anniversary of our nation. John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network.
Kind of trippy, man, that they would do something like that. And this is why when you hear me talking about Trump the way I talk about Trump now, and I was one of his biggest supporters, I really was. I really thought that he was like just going to be the one that was going to straighten all this stuff out, and he's turned into just, in my opinion, one of the worst presidents ever. And you'll hear other people talk about how great he's doing, and he may be doing some good things, and I'll give him credit when there's credit due. But right now with this kind of stuff, this will ruin us forever. Like it just will. Foreign policy. Why is it just ruin us? You know what I mean, what do you think of that?
I pretty much just think we're fucked, right? But don't we do that? Would think that we do that to the Europeans or other when they come into our hotels or come visit us. We're spying on them just as much as
Sure.
they're spying on us, right?
Right. But to give them over our secrets, it's a different.
Yeah, that's.
Our
And
weaponry.
what's the point of it? Like we're gonna, you can trust us. Is that
Trust me, bro?
Yeah, trust me. Like I'll show you. Like, yeah, never works out in real life.
No, it doesn't. Just listen to what Valhalla said.
It doesn't work out too well.
Valhalla broke it down pretty good on a little cut the other day. I think it was this morning actually. Let's see what he has to say about it. He's a little steaming about it. So stand by.
So what happened? Well, we've all seen the back and forth between New York's Mayor Mamdani talking about how he is going to arrest Uncle Bibi if he shows up to New York because he's wanted internationally for war crimes, which kind of makes sense. That's typically what you do with international war criminals. But in response to that, Uncle Bibi had some very insane things to say. Yes, Uncle Bibi went on Fox News with Sean Hannity and literally said that he has special forces on standby if he's arrested in New York. So what are you trying to say here? That if you are arrested, you're going to use the Israeli military special forces to what? Come break you out of prison, kill a bunch of Americans? What are we talking about here? That's obviously the implication. This is a direct threat to the United States that if we had the audacity to carry out the ICC's warrant, they will take him back by force, apparently. Bold claims.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Now, this is, of course, what this stems from when New York's Mayor Mamdani came out and said that Uncle Bibi is a war criminal. And regardless of what you think about old Zoran, yes, he is. That's not up for dispute. And then Uncle Bibi decided to fire back again by calling New Yorkers barbarians.
Against this democracy, Israel, that is being vilified, lied about, described as war criminals, we're fighting your battle. You know, Iran wants to destroy you. We're a model democracy fighting against the barbarians. And in New York City, the mayor of New York City celebrates the barbarians.
So, choice words there. Yes, New Yorkers, take that. And also, wait a second. Uncle Bibi, did you just say that you're fighting the war in Iran on our behalf? Because last time I checked, you haven't participated in that at all. In fact, your own defense minister came out and said that you have no interest in participating in that conflict alongside the United States. So no. We are fighting that war on behalf of you, and we all know it. But honesty is not in their policies, as we all know. Now, who else has he been threatening? Yes, of course, we have this one, which is actually a very prevalent story right now, and we're going to cover the crazy shit that's going on in Spain later tonight on the live stream we're doing, 5 p.m. Pacific, with the special operator panel. Yes, make sure you guys come by. We're going to talk about all this, but very, very relevant because, of course, our greatest ally is responsible for what's going on with there. We'll explain it all then, but check this out. Yes, Uncle Bibi is also now threatening Spain. Yes, threatening NATO allies. As he said in this video here, Spain is against our greatest ally, and who's against them? It's not our partner. Okay. And there's also rumors going around that while he was here for Lady G's funeral, that yes, he slapped JD Vance around for his recent choice words about our greatest allies. It says here, Uncle Bibi confronted JD Vance in person about his public criticism of our greatest ally. Well, I'm sure that wasn't complete threats. And of course, we got to watch the clip from Lady G's funeral. Look at this panel of just absolute heroes here. Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, Howard Lutnick, Fake Weights Pete, Uncle Bibi, Little Marco, and I believe that's incredibly sweaty Scott Bassett. But what's great about this is you can literally see Bibi ordering, well, I guess it's his Secretary of Defense and his Secretary of State around. Wow, a lot of pointing, a lot of telling these two what they need to be doing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And who else was he ordering around? Oh, that's right. Yeah, more pointing, more yelling, more telling them what they're going to be doing. Yes, him and Little Z. Yes, it's almost like he's the actual president of the United States. Isn't that wild? All right, guys, real quick, got to talk about our partners over at Pure Bulk. Now,
So If you don't know who all those characters are, for those that don't know, that's the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State, what's his name? Finance Secretary, and Lutnick. You know who that is, right? Lutnick was in Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor, but he never did anything over there because he only went to the island with his kids. Yeah, but the interesting part about all that is that come for a funeral for Lindsey Graham, and you're telling our military, they look like those were like, he was telling them, like, it was a heated exchange. It wasn't like, hey, buddy. It was not that. It was like, you tell that motherfucker. You know what I mean? One of them. Anyway, so Section 219, that was 224, that's on the backs of, actually, 622 is on the backs of 224, that they changed to 219 for the NDAA merge between the United States and Israel. We're going to break it down right now. We're going to break down exactly what's in this section, whatever it's called, section. It's called a section. I don't know. Bill section, all that stuff. I don't know. But
pretty smart.
I'm not that fucking smart because I have no fucking idea about this. But what I do know is when he starts telling us what it is, I know what that is.
Yeah.
You know
I'll
what I mean?
make another 6 more by the
What?
sections.
Let's throw this entire treasonous abomination up on screen. Section 219, United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. The Secretary of Defense shall designate an executive agent as such term is defined in Department of Defense directive responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel to expand and accelerate bilateral defense technology research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation by, and here comes the big time list, identifying jointly developed or Israeli origin technologies with operational utility for potential integration, more integration in the United States systems, ensuring collaborative research initiatives involving government, private sector. There's the merger of the corporation, the state once again, and academic institutions in the United States and Israel. This is a merger of everything, facilitating the transition of technologies, establishing frameworks for joint ventures, licensing agreements, and United States-based co-production or manufacturing partnerships with Israeli industry. Do you hear that? Let's read that one more time. Don't let that slip by. That's a surrendering of American soil to Israel by statute in the National Defense Authorization Act. United States-based co-production or manufacturing partnerships with Israeli industry. By statute, the United States Congress, the United States government is surrendering American territory, American soil to Israel. And it's all outlined right there in Section 219. Let's go right back into it. And by the way, this all comes back to an executive agent designated by the so-called Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, whoever the hell that guy calls himself, designated by Pete Hegseth. By Pete Hegseth, who's on record vowing to use the United States government as an instrument to build the third temple. Coordinating with relevant Department of Defense components, including the Irregular Warfare Technical Support Directorate, Capability Development and Innovation Divisions, irregular warfare. To wage irregular warfare on who? The American people, Palestinians, whoever they want. Promoting joint training exercises, which undoubtedly will take place on American soil the synchronized cooperative efforts under subsection A may be carried out through the following domains. Now, this is important. Counter unmanned systems, including aerial, maritime, and ground platforms. Anti-tunneling, we've talked about that. Missile and air defense technologies. Artificial intelligence, quantum, machine learning, and autonomous systems. Directed energy and advanced sensing. Directed energy. Cyber defense, electronic warfare, and digital resilience. Biotechnology, biomanufacturing, biomedical defense. Network integration, data fusion, and contested logistics. Defense industrial base cooperation, manufacturing, and co-production. There's more of that co-production right here on American soil. Other emerging technologies as jointly agreed by the United States and Israel. So whatever Israel says, as they say it. And don't think we're skipping over it. Biotech, biomanufacturing, medical defense. Let's get it all out there. Activities in coordination with other federal department and agencies. The Secretary of Defense shall coordinate activities as appropriate with the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Commerce. That's Howard Lutnick. And the heads of other relevant federal departments and agencies to ensure consistency with existing laws and regulations. Interim progress updates. They'll provide interim progress updates not later than 180 days after the enactment of this act on how things are going, how this integration, how this merger, how this surrendering of American sovereignty is going. And then they'll crack that whip. Speed it up, Goy. Speed it up, Kunta Kinte. You're all Kunta Kintes now. That's what this is. This is the enslavement of the American people. The destruction, the dissolution of the American Republic. And it ties right back into the dissolution of America's borders, which we will talk about in this evening's broadcast. Annual reports. How's that surrendering going? How's that selling out of the American people going? They'll provide an update every single year. They'll be describing how technologies are being transitioned to and fro. They'll give descriptions of partnerships established with American and Israeli industry. This isn't just government. It's not just military. And that's the end of Section 219.
So everything, the manufacturing, weapons, land and sea, fucking military, bomb, everything are probably our nuclear weapon building and everything.
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but
Say whatever you want.
So I've heard for many years, most of my life, that the Jews run the world, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the case, huh? That's what it's just boiling down to.
I don't know.
Right?
It looks like it.
Right?
It looks like the beginning of the energy war is what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, it has been from Epstein to Donald Trump to Netanyahu to all the people in between. All the cabinet are all Jews,
Right.
and I'm not a Jew hater.
I'm not either.
But when you look at it, it looks interesting. And then, so we were told things like, I should pull it up, but we were given 20 promises. Trump's 20 promises to basically fix America. One of the top ones were no new wars and all that bullshit, and fix the border. Chinese are still coming in through San Diego right now, right? Probably they're coming across the border right now as we sit here. I mean, it's not what it's not what I voted for. It's just not. So, Matt Baker was talking to Stu Peters about this. I don't know if he said it like surrender, but let me pull it. Let me see if let's take a break for just a second and let me. Talk about. Let's talk about our new sponsor real quick. I'm horrible at this. I'm horrible at plugging our products, and I need to get better at it. So this is a Masterpiece Zeolite formula. And if in the description or on my website, my website's right there, okay? And it's inspectorweb.com. You can go to the link. You can click on it. It won't take you off the show when you click on it, and you can order. Now, one bottle is good for 2 months, and let's look at some of the items that it covers. This detoxification, graphite oxide, heavy metals, toxic minerals, microplastics, forever chemicals, glyphosate. Also, it gets rid of fluorides and all the toxic chemicals. It helps if you've been. I'm not supposed to say this, but it does help if you have the spike stuff in your. Oh, it's a full body detoxification, and what I found is when I started taking it, I've been on it probably 3 months. After 2 weeks of taking Masterpiece, my dreams came back. I started having vivid dreams. I haven't dreamed in years. I'd have a nightmare once a year or twice a year and wake up with anxiety. I don't really have anxiety anymore. But the getting rid of this forever chemicals and the poison metals is huge, and the fluoride, and I got my kids on it and everything. 5 drops in the morning, 5 drops at night, and I'm just doing my best to keep them healthy. Energy boost, detoxification, anti-aging, sleep enhancement, and it just works. And so if you go there, and if you go to my website and you click the link, or in the description, click the link, and one bottle is good for 2 months. It's less than $1 a day, and if you order it today, you'll get it within 3 or 4 days. I mean, it comes really relatively fast. I wanted to plug that, and if you don't know what the website is, it's at the bottom of the screen. It's inspectorweb.com, or you can go to the description in the show notes, and you can click the link there. We've set it up to where you can actually click it now. It was messed up. I don't know. I'm not a computer guy, but I had my IT guy fix all that stuff last week or beginning of this week. And also, if you're interested in what's going on right now, because we have a lot going on right now, restorable food, generators, all that stuff is linked in the description where you can click it. You go right to the website and you can look at all the stuff they have. They have Life Straw. They have it all. They have everything there. They have generators. They have restorable food. They have water filters. They have the water canisters with the stand. They have all that stuff. And it's about 45% off right now. So just go check it out and support the show. That's what I asked for. Just a little bit of support goes a long way right now with what we're doing.
You did a great job.
I did a great job. I'm horrible at it,
dude.
dude.
You did pretty good. You sold me on it.
I'm so bad at plugging, man. And I keep telling myself that I'm going to make some ads and just click the button and make the ads, but I'm so busy all the time with kids and dogs that I don't have time for that shit. You know what I mean? But I got to do it, so I will. Okay, so let's stand by. Make this bigger. Guys in the back, for the old guys in the back and the old guys in the back. What we're in right now is an energy war with Iran, Russia, and so if you take a look at the map, and all the dots in the map is where all the wars are at right now. Saying is, it's only 500 kilometers from Russia to Ukraine, conflict zone, to the United States-Iran conflict zone. The combined war zone stretches 8,000 kilometers. NATO countries are supplying Ukraine with deep strike weapons to attack Russia. Russia is providing IRGC, or I guess it's Iran ISR targeting info. Now, the reason why I pull this map up is so people can see what's really going on over there, because, you know, just the other day, Israel was talking about bombing Turkey. And we know that Turkey has not been touched at all. You notice that there's bomb sites all around Turkey, but not in Turkey, because Turkey's got a ton of, you know, of nuclear weapons, and they'll use them. But that's what they're talking about. So all these Saudi Arabia and Pakistani talking about, if you bomb Iran, we're going to bomb Israel. I mean, all this stuff is, and this is what we talked about last week, and I couldn't find this map last week when I wanted it, because we talked about the World War III scenario, and now you can see why we're saying, talking about Poland, they're talking about Romania, they're talking about all these little Mediterranean Sea and all that stuff that's going on right now. Now, look, they've invaded Spain. You see, so that's going to be probably the next conflict area, is going to be Spain, because now that they have the boots on the ground, now what they have to do is give them weapons, and then now there's another one that is able to be there, because when Netanyahu says we're going to bomb Turkey, it sounds like they're doing the strategic planning to make that so, right? That's what they do. They put all these pawns in these places, and then they attack. We know this is what they do, because that's just like Hamas and all that stuff that they did, you know, 2013, 14, whenever it was. And here we are, right? So I just wanted to show that map in a way that everybody could see it, so everybody's clear about what this World War III looks like, okay? Because at the end of the day, we are in World War III. There's no way around it. And I hate to say it just flat, blunt like that, but we are. When you have multiple countries fighting each other, and they're all talking about tit for tat. If you bomb us, they'll bomb them, and they'll bomb them, and then they'll bomb them, and then you know, and then it takes one trigger happy person to push the button, and then we're in a nuclear war. And that's what all the experts have said. We're going to get to it in a little bit, but I want to pull that map up before we continue with Matt Baker about Section 219. And this all goes together, by the way, because when we're submerged with Israel the way we are, what happens is Israel's like the teenager that, you know, or the little brother that goes to the fucking dude down the street and talks shit and fucking punches him in the mouth and takes off running, and then comes and says that the guy pulled my hair, you got to do something about it. And then we're big brother, and we're going to go put our chest out and kick this other dude's ass, because that's what we're dealing with here, because Israel continues to bomb all these countries, and we're fighting the war. So just a little heads up about that, okay? Bring us back in now that I did that whole thing without us being on camera. That, and let's go here. Stand by. Finish this segment.
Matt, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you being here. I also heard you in a space recently with Diligent Dennison, where you were just going off on 224. Another thing that up until just the other day, Alex Jones had yet to mention, which kind of raises an eyebrow, being that this merges, literally makes inseparable the United States from Israel. What say you?
So this 224, if you don't know, is merging our bloodstreams together. This is equivalently to getting fucked in the ass by Benjamin Netanyahu. The American people are crying, please disentangle us, please. We don't want to be involved with these scumbags and their murderous, rapacious, destructive nature. It's like we're becoming a satanic butt baby after they inject all of their technology into our systems, after they extract all of the information from the American people, which was illegally got. If you listen to Snowden, what Snowden has to say about how they stole all our information, and before data centers became a big thing, they had a giant data center in Utah stealing and lifting every single call, which was all done illegally, but at least we had it in our server. Now we're just going to open up our asshole and let Benjamin Netanyahu put his fist in and pull out everyone, every tweet, every word, everything you've ever said that has been illegally grabbed by our country. Not only that, all of the information and all of the technology that we could be benefiting from, the internet, Google, AI, all this stuff was DARPA funded, AKA funded by the American people. And now we're just going to hand over the keys of it to this foreign power, this tiny little parasite nation that's going to go and boss us around and tell us who we can and can't have as a senator, Thomas Massey. And by the way, what day is it today? It's some special day. I remember we might be mourning the death, the loss of the people on the USS Liberty. At this point in the game, it's impossible to ignore it. I tried, Stu. I wanted to be a normal, regular, rational human being and not say, like Alex Jones says, Jew, all the time. How is it the people that signed this over, how is this any different than opening up a drawbridge to a foreign enemy? How is this any different than accepting the Trojan horse directly and knowing that the enemy is inside it? They're not hiding it. It's not a coincidence that they're about to put us into checkmate with this 224. Once they do that, they have this, what's this guy called? The executive agent. Now, over all of the people in the entire Pentagon, there's going to be an executive agent, which is going to be installed without any oversight by the American people or the Congress. They just install this person. He can walk in and just tell everybody, we want this information, we want that information. We want this program taken over, we want that taken over. Send this information to them. You're going to allow the Israeli government, the murdering, raping, killing, genocidal nation, to have the keys to our entire empire. Are you fucking insane?
Yeah, they are insane, and they don't give a fuck. And that's the point of this segment. They do not give a shit about any of it. Listen, Trump's on his last days as it is. You don't give a shit. They're insider trading in the White House. They're doing all this shit. They're building a basement bunker. Data centers. They're talking about having an FBI and CIA building in the basement of this ballroom and data center, flock cameras. All this shit is happening. Majority of this stuff, and I'm just going to say it. Majority of the flock camera saga that we're going through right now happened after Trump became president. Let that sink in for all you MAGA patriots, all you MAGA people, all you thinking that Trump is the great white hope. Okay. If you take a look, we just played it a little while ago. The data centers were a few in 2023. And then after Trump got into office, the data centers or the flock cameras just went all the way across the United States. They were just on the East Coast. There was a few here and there in the West Coast, and now they're everywhere. And you heard what Bill said when he got here. He's like, I see them putting them up all the time. They are doing that. And that is a federally funded program that they're leasing to people, civilians. They're leasing flock cameras to civilians. I'll give you an example. My wife's mom lives in one of these gated communities. It's just like a, high-end areas. And and the speed limit is 25. I got a little lead foot, okay? So I got a ticket. And I was like, and they're like, yeah, there's a camera right there on the corner. So being the smart ass that I am, I'm like, what? So on our way out, I drive down the street and I go like that. It's a fucking flock camera. So the government buys these cameras, they lease them to these communities, and they take the data from the camera and they store it to use it against us later. By the way, I didn't have to pay a ticket because it's my first one, but I do 25 now, by the way, too. But the point is, you should be mad. You should be very pissed. Everyone should be irate as Matt Baker is. But slave to liberty actually is what his handle is on X. If you want to follow him, slave to liberty. Slave.
I'd hate to find out what kind of data they have on me. It'd be a funny jacket. I flip off the cameras like pretty much all the time. Good job. You are just info packed. I didn't know you were this involved in all this.
Yeah, slave _2 _ liberty. I wanted to get it right. I knew there was an underscore, but I didn't know it was that. Slave _2 _ liberty is Matt Baker's channel. And, you know, everybody knows how to get Stu Peters' network. So I should do that more often. I'm learning how to, you know, promote people. Do you have a Twitter?
Not Twitter. No.
You need to get an X, dude. That's where everything's at.
Is it?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna break in here, and we're gonna switch. I'm gonna do it. Okay, I had skipped Marion Adelson, but Marion Adelson is the one person from Israel, AIPAC, the money. She's a money person. Her husband died a few years ago, and now she holds the keys to the whole AIPAC thing. All the people in Congress, they get paid from Israel, all the money. She's the one that gave Trump $250 million for his campaign. You know, she's the one. And I was not going to play it because it was about Lady Lindsay. You know, Lindsey Graham died, right? Probably got murdered in Ukraine, I would think. That's probably, and then they teleported his body, you know, because you know what it's fucking weird. And there hasn't been a lot on it. Lindsey Graham goes to Ukraine for a trip. You know, it's a 21-hour trip.
Yeah.
So he goes there, and then he gets unalived or whatever they call it. And then the FBI is in his house for 3 days after, but he died of a heart attack. So, you know, you put it together for yourself. I mean, I don't know. Unalived. I got to be careful because we're still on YouTube, so we're doing good. They haven't, because we have been yanked right. They yank me right off there sometimes. But they haven't. This channel has been able to make it for, I don't know. It's probably been 6 months. Matter of fact, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Inspector Webb. You know, I got a beef right now. I do this. I do my best every week. Get in here to, you know, get the message out, and you guys don't subscribe to the channel. You know, most of the people that watch this channel just watch it. They don't subscribe to the channel. The only way that I can get bigger is 2 ways. Subscribe to the channel and buy the products that I have on my website. That's the only way I can get big. Otherwise, I'm just a nickel dimer over here. I'm a what do they call it? I'm a grifter. I'm just a grifter now. Okay, got it. All right.
It's that simple. Just subscribe.
Just subscribe to the fucking channel, dude. I mean, hey, you know, I've said this before. I'm a one-man band over here. I'm like playing a harmonica, guitar, you know, fucking got a tuba over here, you know, a piano off one side. I do it all by myself. I clip all the videos. I do all this by myself. And I've had a few people come in, but I think the information is a little too much for these. I don't want to talk shit about the producers that I've had in the past, but maybe the information's too harsh for them, or maybe they just think that I'm a nut job, because it's possible. And until you see it, you can't see it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then once you see it, you're like, holy fuck, we're fucked.
You're pretty passionate about it.
Mary Nadelson, let's do this.
I give you
we
that.
were very close friends of Lindsay. Sheldon, we met him in 1990, approximately. There was a mission of AIPAC, and we took freshman congressmen, Republican, to Israel. So we and Sheldon and me and another two partners of Sheldon paid for the trip, donated it to AIPAC educational group, something like that. And then we met Lindsay. And I want to tell you, I, as a physician, I love to see the brain. And the eyes are our brain. And they were so pure and blue. And you could see what he's thinking about. He was so honest, with integrity. And Sheldon and me fell in love with him. And the relationship continued for years. As was mentioned it, I talked today with his secretary, Betty, and I asked her, tell me more about the relationship. She was telling me every day, there was not a day that Sheldon talked with Lindsay. They were talked about Israel. Lindsay gave him advice, Sheldon gave him advice, and they had fun.
I meet Lindsay just so I can bring him to Israel, and I pay for his trips to Israel every 2 weeks. Yeah. Every 2 weeks. I mean, literally he was going to Israel every other fucking week. It's like, just move there, dude. I am down for Israel first. That's what he said. You've seen the clips, right? Israel. Anyway, I want to play that because she's just disgusting. Okay, I did that one. Okay, it's time to switch gears. We're gonna talk about the Matrix. Or we do.
The movie?
No, but the real Matrix. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna throw this clip in here. It's not on my sheet, but I'm gonna play this clip in here because I think we're ready for it. I think we're ready for this clip. You think we're ready for this clip?
I'm excited.
It should be.
Once upon a time, a tax on tea was the final straw. Once upon a time, an entire country was built on one belief, a belief that freedom was more important than money. There was a point in history, sometime before our balls dropped off, where we all realized the system we built is no longer serving us. So we corrected it. There was a point in time where we spit on the freshly shined boots of anybody who dared to put his foot on our throat. Now it appears we all just sit there and take it like it's some guilty pleasure. There was a time where the system that they built to keep themselves in power still had enough loose ends that we could do something about it. There was a time where voting our way back to freedom still seemed like a real possibility. I'm here to tell you, Gotham, that time is over. Now, it's time for revolution.
Come closer. I've got something to tell you. Something is happening across the Western world. You can feel it on the streets, in the courts, at work, and online. It's not just political. It's not just cultural. It's psychological. A silent shift is underway, and it has a name. The Inversion Matrix. 5 sections. Section 1. The reversal begins. In this new system, the native becomes the intruder, the majority becomes the villain, and the truth becomes hate speech. The very people whose ancestors built these nations, who raised the families, tilled the land, and paid taxes, now find themselves apologizing for simply existing. How did this happen? Section 2. Psychological engineering and guilt programming. It began with psychological engineering. First, inject guilt programming, a constant stream of reminders about colonialism, slavery, privilege, and oppression. Then, flood the language with weaponized labels: racist, transphobe, Islamophobe, far-right, each designed to shut down conversation, to train you, to self-censor, and to submit. This isn't about justice. It's about control through confusion. Section 3. The two-tier system of compassion. Look around and you'll see it. As a matter of fact, I think that you know it already. Certain groups can gather publicly in the name of religion or pride. Others are fined, silenced, or arrested for praying silently. Crimes by one group are explained away as trauma, misunderstanding, or cultural norms. Same crime committed by someone else, instant outrage, national headlines, and cancellation. We've moved from equal rights to engineered imbalance, from justice for all to justice selectively applied. Section 4. Institutional capture. Every major institution in the Western world has been taken over by the same ideological virus. Schools no longer teach pride in culture, but shame in history. Police now investigate felonies, feelings, not felonies. Media filters truth through an ideological lens, where facts are problematic and narratives are sacred. Even churches and temples now bow down to slogans instead of scripture. This is called institutional capture, and it's not accidental. Section 5 is the long game. Divide, demoralize, and replace. But why? Because a divided, guilt-ridden, and morally paralyzed society is easier to govern. Shatter its tradition, drown it in imported ideologies, redefine its language, and turn its people against themselves. This is what I'm keep trying to say. These are the true crux to the matrix. The end goal? Not justice, not harmony, but a population too confused to resist and too fragmented to unite. But let's be clear. This isn't a war between races or religions or genders. It's a war between truth and programming. Between those who remember who they are and those who've been rethought to forget. You don't need to hate anyone, but you do need to see. Because the longer we stay silent, the more the inversion matrix tightens. Until what was once solid, identity, family, faith, law, it becomes liquid, then meaningless, then gone. This isn't about hate, I repeat. It's about survival. And if you're still listening, it means the program didn't fully work on you. Not yet.
Legit. That's what's going on right now.
I've been seeing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so we pulled our kid out of public school, and our young one, because he's very, John is very set in his ways. Like, he knows what's up. He's very smart. So, and he wanted to stay in high school. He's one more year. So, he'll be 18 in like a couple months. And so we left him when all this stuff started happening. We started seeing what was going on. We just left him. But our younger one, we were like, no. I mean, I went to the, dad day or whatever, parent day at school. And just the stuff that I seen on the walls of the classroom was enough for me. And so first we switched him schools to another one that's supposed to be more conservative, whatever. And the same thing happened. So after that year, and, he kept having trouble with kids and, they always made him wrong, all this stuff. So we put him in a Montessori, and the Montessori is like, it's more based on like do it yourself those schools are like do it yourself instead of help. Like for instance, he don't ask me to help him with something unless he just wants my attention. I mean, that's when he asks me for help. But he does. He's 7. He'll be 8 this month or next month. August. He'll be 8. He can cook his own food. I mean, he's fully self-sufficient as far as that goes. And it's because that school taught them to be sufficient on your own, right? And when you go into the classrooms, you don't see rainbows and Black Lives Matter, and you don't see that shit. You don't see teachers with purple hair. For instance, the vice president has the Constitution, or I think it's not. That's not what it is. It's the Pledge Allegiance on her back window. You know what I mean? That told me a lot.
Yeah, that's
whether
amazing.
she's left or right doesn't matter. That she believes in the flag, and
Yeah.
that's important to me, and that's important to my kids. And my son is very, they're hip. They know what's up. Anyway, my point is, but there's something going on with this matrix that is brainwashing kids. And that's why what we have at the, out of high school going into college, they're, changing identities, changing genders, all this stuff that's going on is because the matrix in schools are brainwashing our kids into that culture of whatever that culture is, he, him, them, all that bullshit. And so that guy, when he says that, I can totally see that if you're not in a culture that doesn't have that, all those different cultural diversities and shit, that's what you would have. And it just splits people up.
Yeah.
Just like what COVID did, it split people up. There's more divorce in a couple years after COVID than ever because, husband and wife generally, it's like they're polar opposites. You can't put people together like that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever, without them having conflict, because men are men and women are women, and anybody that says that men and women are the same, they've lost their mind. You know this.
I fell victim to COVID,
right,
in my marriage,
right, and so it in real time. And so what happens is, in this matrix, is that's exactly what they want, because they want women with women and men with men so that they can kill the population. And that's their idea, is to break down society through depopulation. However they can do it, whether it's killing people or turning them gay or cutting their dicks off or whatever it is, that's the globalist plan. So anyway, want to say that to go with that clip before we move on to probably, for me, the most important part of tonight's show. And there's other things that we're going to do if we have time. We'll do at least a little bit of it. It looks like we're running short, but the MK Ultra mind control thing is huge, and it's because the reason why it's huge now is it's not like it was 25 years ago, where you had to shoot somebody up with some serum to get their brain wrapped around an idea or ideology or whatever. Now they do it, well, one, through internet. Internet is huge about changing people, the way people think and all that stuff. But the other way is through this, and Beltran explains it way better than I could even think about, but through mind manipulation. So let's listen. I have a few clips, but
algorithms.
They're all different topics here, but they're the same topic because it's all based on. So this guy is a certified hypnotist. So he's a hypnotist, but he's also studied mind control, MK Ultra, and bioweapons and direct energy weapons and all that stuff. And so they used to use only energy weapons, direct energy weapons, like this across the street, shoot you from across the street to the window, and then you start barking like a dog. I'm using that as an example, but
is that real?
Yeah, the direct energy weapons that they used to use to change people's thinking was a real thing with MK Ultra and all that stuff. And they had these he can explain it better, but all these different programming things that all the people that have killed all the assassins over all these years, all were, especially the kids, were victims of MK Ultra, whether it's SSRIs or a combination. You know, they're doing that stuff with the transgender movement. I mean, it's all about changing the way you think about stuff. But anyway, let's listen to what Jesse has to say, because he's the specialist. I'm just a dipshit on a microphone. I'm just partly retarded. That's all. Stand by.
You're welcome.
What Nazi Germany was doing, we're basically trying to control the entire globe and institute our belief systems and sometimes force them down people's throats. And that's where we're headed. But now it's even bigger than that, because they mastered the outflight influence. They mastered how to manipulate mass populations. And now the pandemic was the internal system that completed it all. When you are able to completely control biometrics, biochemical responses, emotional responses through just frequency emissions. I have a spectrum analyzer right here. You know, we're always being bombarded with frequencies. In fact, one of the frequencies that we're detecting right now happens to be from Homeland Security, which I found quite interesting when you walked into the room. It popped up.
Which means it's my phone.
Oh my! Well, yeah, they would be. I guess they would be spying on you.
Yes. But my point is,
we'll show that. Make sure or give them a file of this. How do we get a shot of this?
Maybe
look it up. I'll actually. This frequency right here. This frequency right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to.
We're going to identify.
Yeah. Well, I noticed it as soon as Alex came in. That frequency right there. Yeah. It's at minus 48 dB, but actually it got up to minus 28 dB when Alex walked in. So I knew it had to do something with Alex.
So you learn what frequencies are associated with what agencies?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years.
Well, it's well known that certain, like the police use this, the feds use that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so you're able to see.
So what will be the main vector? My cell phone?
I don't think it's your cell phone. Your cell phone would be a different.
I think it's chips in me.
Yeah. You know, that's always a possibility. I didn't even think about that. But no, my sense is no, this is an RF signal that's satellite based. This does cross over into the RFID sector too.
So they know where I'm at off the cell phone's regulation and have other stuff that angles, or
correct.
Like stingrays, or
well, you don't need that anymore. You don't need. Remember, we learned with the ghost murmur, they can track anyone they want on this planet, no matter where you're at all times. So if you're able to track them, and then you wanted to, in the Havana syndrome, for example, direct a beam at someone, all you have to know is the coordinates to send the beam. It's very simple, very easy to do.
You just track a number, everybody have AI watch them, and then it's like if there's a problem, just bzzz.
Isn't that what happens with the MK Ultra phenomena? Because it doesn't rely on the person having a phone or device on them, and it finds them, and they're in crowds all the time, but they're the ones dealing with the phenomena of either V2K, or if they're being buffeted or attacked in some way, no one else is doing. So it's already a kind of a field. Is it a field type of weapon, or a direct energy weapon, or a mixture of both?
So when you use MK Ultra and the Havana syndrome, they're two separate issues. Yeah, they're two separate issues. The MK Ultra is about the experimentation.
Not just one known project.
Of the 150 sub-projects that we know about. It's turning out during the hearings, they believe there may be even more than that. But the Havana syndrome is just the completion of that. So the MK Ultra, we can say, that was the outside perspective on how we learned how to control and manipulate the human neurosystem, physiology, everything. From, you know, the FOIA releases and the reports that we've disclosed were in 1972. They were already remotely, in Vacaville prison, they were already remotely monitoring biometrics. And what it disclosed in that report, which was distributed by our U.S. Congress, because they were looking at ways to manipulate behavior modification. And prisoners, unfortunately, were some of the guinea pigs that they were using in the early days. But it said also to remotely read your thoughts back in 1972-74. Actually, the report was released in 1974. So if they were already able to read your thoughts remotely in 1974.
Did they have to implant for that, or could they just read their thoughts?
They were implanting them then, okay? But where we are today, you're now able to utilize massive computing systems. We want to call it AI, quantum computing, or these shoes.
That's this question. What the giant data centers are not so we can make AI memes. I mean, these are giant NSA data centers called, AI centers. And they're saying, oh, they get unlimited energy. They get 100 times what humans get. They can do toxic waste. They're above the law. What are they really about?
We are at a.
What do you want to say about that?
Oh, man. I'm glad I never went to Vacaville.
This is real. This is real live things that are happening right now. And, it's deep. It's over my head. But I've seen. So, for instance, the machine that he showed. So, 6 months ago or something, when he introduced himself, blah, 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 he took the machine and he put it on this Navy SEAL, scanned his body. And the RF signals were going crazy because they were implanting those dudes with this RFD signaling chips in the military, Navy SEALs especially, because, they're, what they were doing over there, Afghanistan, all that stuff. And then around the ears. So like around the ears. That's why you never see my phone up to my ear. It sends signal, right? And so when he did Alex, it wasn't as high, but it was there. And he's never been planted with any chips that he knows of. But these signals are able to, I'm assuming, because I don't know a lot about it. I just know what I've these clips, and he's been on the show a bunch, and they just keep talking about more. It's so deep and there's so much information. It's a lot. But my understanding is they can literally, they know where your coordinates. It's all they need is coordinates, and they can read your thoughts. Read your fucking thoughts, dude. It's crazy. Anyway, I got more.
Are you here? So are you informing the people so they're known, or so they're like in the know, or are you scaring people?
No, I'm trying to let people know what's going on.
Because it's kind of scary.
I understand.
It's real.
But would you rather know about it or not know about it?
Yeah, but then it could turn the wrong person unstable.
I understand.
Right?
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe that's why there's a lot of people have mental health issues now, because they're all spooked out on.
Well, I mean, if you know that if you take vaccines, you're going to get some chip in your brain. If you know that part of the COVID thing was about planting micro, whatever the fuck they're called, in your system so they could read your fucking mind or whatever, then you don't do that stuff, right? Or if you know that this stuff is possible, but there is something that you could counter react it with, like zeolites or whatever, and you take that stuff, it takes the metals and the poisons and the stuff out of your system, then you're able to not have to be so concerned about that. Now, Alex Jones, that's Alex. He is a major figure, #1 show all over the world kind of thing. So he is probably a target, right? We're not targets. we're not targets. So unless we're working with, and he's got CIA, he's got all these fucking different kinds of people. He's got all this information. He tells all this stuff. And so he's definitely
on the watch list.
Yeah, worse than that. He's definitely somebody that they track every movement that he makes, which is interesting when they sued him and they knew that he wasn't what they said he was, but they still sued him because it wasn't about putting him in prison or whatever. It was about crippling him financially so he wouldn't be able to talk on the microphone because his information is so advanced. Tomorrow's News Today. He's telling you stuff that is going to hit the headlines in 6 months or a year or 2 years. He was talking about COVID years and years and years ago before it even happened. They were going to social distancing, masks, the whole thing. He knew all about it way before. He literally told them, call the White House right now and tell them that there's going to be a plane flying into the Twin Towers that's going to get hijacked, blah, 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 blah. He knew it before it happened. Yeah, you got to do research on this dude. This dude is fucking sharp. Anyway, let's keep going.
Understand how they could possibly.
Because we are in a liquid crystal. Then the crystal cracked.
Right.
We are the liquid crystal. So what is our DNA is a liquid crystal? What does that mean? What about you talk about this yesterday? How much data can DNA hold? Way more than any of the most advanced chip.
Yeah, we're way beyond petabytes. It's pretty limitless.
Because it's fractal. It's within.
And we're pedophiles now.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. I mean, we are the AI of God.
Yes, we're the most highest form of technological equipment in the.
Like we're babies. We just spit out this AI. That's like finger painting in a 2-year-old. We're like, oh, it's God. It's God. It's unlimited. No, think about it. We are God's AI, folks.
Well, you asked, why, and I can probably simplify this. Is that if you can interrupt that frequency, God's frequency, and get someone to do something that's against their moral compass, then you essentially have defeated God, is what they believe. Okay.
They're capturing God's territory.
Is that why they're so against like the third eye blind stuff? Is that why they wanted to disconnect?
In 1972, the CIA already figured out, after the Milgram experiment, they figured out that they can literally get someone and convince them to kill someone within 45 minutes. Okay.
You can hypnotize people.
Yeah. We can create Manchurian candidates. That for many, many years they said no, that was false. But there have been other hypnotists such as myself that have been able to go out and demonstrate that this is very easily done, and the person will commit a pseudo assassination because they weren't given real lethal weapons, but they carried it out and it was videotaped, and they didn't remember doing it. And using techniques like anchors and triggers, which I've talked about in previous shows. Basically, an anchor is basically establishing a state, either to an object, whether it be a cell phone, a handkerchief, a sound, a movement, and then
the catcher in the rye.
Correct. And once you establish that anchor,
why, that's the anchor. I'm told. Like, why are so many known assassins of all these famous people catcher in the rye?
I can explain this concept. Yeah. So once that anchor is established, then I use it as a trigger. It's no different than pulling the trigger on a firearm. The person who's established that anchor has basically become that firearm, but they're going to get away with the murder because all I have to do is maybe tug on my ear, and now it's triggered. Then the Manchurian candidate, or the person who has been programmed, will initiate that behavior that's been programmed into them. And all of the time, if you're doing this according to the playbook, they will commit that assassination and they will forget everything about it.
Well, that's like Suriname. This is all mainline in court. I'm sure you know. Tell the story. He has a woman polka dot dress. They give him like halcyon drugs. They pin his arm. He doesn't shoot him. The guy from the skunk works kills Robert F. Kennedy. But the point is that it turned out it was all CIA, but she was there like on the drugs, hypnotizing him just to be the puppet. I mean, it's on record.
Can major like public trauma be used as an anchor? Like for example, I was pretty scandalized by the fact that the death of Charlie Kirk was live streamed. Yeah, I remember 15 different people showing me that day the blood spurting out. This like every single person in the world I think experienced the trauma of seeing it. Can that be used as an anchor?
It could. It could be as a form of an anchor.
And they immediately had the PR ready. I'm not saying what really happened there, but it all looked produced. Not his death, but the production after.
Yeah, well,
which is what I think people rejected was the, Erica Kirk in the hot pants, and fireworks going off 3
The
days
pageantry. It wasn't respectful. And I think everyone agrees.
later. Who sees like a widow, like, yeah, oh yeah, oh. And I'm not putting her down. I'm not saying she killed her husband like Candace does. I'm just saying people are like, whoa, what is this?
It was unusual. It wasn't the normal 5 steps of grieving that you typically see in individuals. And so what?
Yeah, they wonder why they got rejected. That was why.
And what I saw happen is because it was so traumatic, and I don't think there's majority of people on this planet saw what happened, particularly in this country. They took advantage of that state, the fear state, and it was accelerated, and so you can again start to do these psyops, these techniques to mass populations, depending on what your agenda is. And what the agenda is, it would just be pure speculation right now. But the fact is that environment that you're describing existed there, and that was the prime window of opportunity to subconsciously program mass populations to a certain belief system.
Isn't that crazy? Fucking wild, dude. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking wild, dude. It's like if you think about it, now I followed, just side note, I followed the Charlie Kirk assassination from the very beginning all the way to now. I mean, I have hours and hours and hours of it. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff, videos and this and that, and all these different angles, all this stuff. Anyway, and if you think about it, what it did to the public, not just the 3,000 people that were there, but the public, the internet, what it did to the internet really has done something as far, got people feuding, no, he was shot like this, no, like that, this, that, all these different things. People pointing fingers at everybody, got people fucking lying, have all this stuff going on, people being paid to say a certain thing and all this stuff. We've pretty much narrowed that down. But from an event like that, live streamed, right? And, do you agree with me that was an exit wound? Have you ever seen somebody get shot and they come out this way when the bullet goes that way? And it don't go all the way through, and it's a 30-06. The whole thing just, that's another show for another day. But point is, what it did to the public, to the people, I could show you. I got tons and tons and tons and tons of shit. I mean, I know what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't know who. Well, I kind of do. I kind of know. So he was shot from behind here, and I'm stuck on this one. I seen that the infrared beam on the back of his head went down through here. They said that his vertebrae were shattered all the way down his neck, and it came out here, and he was also shot in the chest. That's why he went down like this. The compression from getting shot down, he went like this, he went back like that because he got shot in the chest. I can prove it. Okay?
I believe you.
I can prove it. I can prove it.
I believe you.
And all these people are talking about exploding mics and all this stuff, and it's possible that there's very high probability that because it was not a assassination. It was a fucking military operation that was performed that day. And they had 3 patsy. I mean, it's just the whole thing. They had Tyler Robinson and a maroon shirt, and they had like 10 fucking people with the same color maroon shirt in the audience that were skinny white dudes with a baseball cap. You know what I mean? It was an operation. It was a military operation. Do you know that before 3 days was out, he got shot on Wednesday, and by Monday, they had tore up the area, the whole area, 10 inches down, and re-put pavers in. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. By Sunday night, it was complete. You know who ordered it? The governor and the FBI. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's crazy. And anyway, let's keep going. Let's just stay on the data collection and control. That's where we're at. We're
Collecting all of this massive data. I actually work with a gentleman who's on my team. We develop security software techniques. And he had a lawsuit recently against a large corporation where he discovered that they were collecting massive amounts of data in the petabytes, not just terabytes anymore. And he noticed that the data was disappearing and he didn't know where it was going. And then so when he researched it, he found out it was going to these massive data centers. And what he discovered, that they were collecting data from people's vehicles. If you have a smart vehicle or any electronic,
This is all the new cars by law.
Correct.
Have hidden cameras, kill switches. People are upset about flock cameras. They should be. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, because there's an individual digital footprint with each one. You actually can identify an individual. This isn't even new in the sense of if you have their car information, you know this. So they've rented this car. They connect their phone to it. They use it to listen to certain kind of music. If you do something inside that car for an hour, they now know that's you. That's your profile. This is Edward renting this car in Austin. This is Edward entering this McDonald's. This is Edward traveling to England to meet with a whistleblower. Right? That footprint now, and especially because of the data centers, I think the data centers allowed them to, with speed, get this intelligence now. That's one of the big differences.
And they're meant to run the self-driving cars, the robots. It's all that.
yeah, well, his position was if there ever was a national security issue, that this was it. And the reason he said this, he goes, Jess, they were collecting people's heart rhythms, their blink patterns, where they were looking. He says they were collecting all this massive amount of data and without consent. And then he was saying they even had the capabilities to read and write to computer systems and erase computer systems in these vehicles. And they were keeping all this information. So he eventually became a whistleblower, and then they terminated him, and that's what brought him forth to institute this lawsuit. But my point is this: this is now a complete.
He was saying complete. No, we're out of beta. We're at the master plan. The surveillance grid is in place. The smart meters, everything's spying on us. Where do they want to take us? What's the end game?
Well, end game now is that it's about complete control. We always talked about that, but it's also about depopulation. It's also about we need to thin the herd, okay? And how do we accomplish that? That's one aspect of it, complete control. But if we know that we are manipulating this planet, and our protection, our force field around the globe is depleting, and it's becoming like Swiss cheese, and it's happening at an accelerated rate, where you have radiation coming in to our planet that hadn't been affected before. Now you put up 4G, 5G, 6G towers. According to Dr. Cruz, you're accelerating synergistically that deterioration process.
I was about to say, we know the atmosphere has issues, and now the studies, everything they do accelerates it. So what are they doing? Well, what's the point of that?
Yeah. Well,
so the Earth's atmosphere is being purposely destroyed. That's the headline. We should start with that. beyond mind control, beyond flock cameras. Why are they trying to destroy the atmosphere? Why are they trying to collapse the atmosphere? For a new species, silicon. All the globalist writings say by 2047, humans are obsolete, everything's silicon, you must become cyborg, you're obsolete. This is like an alien takeover. And I don't even go there from writings or anybody. I look at it as like a general and I go, what is this? It's all anti-human, anti-carbon. We're told carbon's evil. And then everything we do with the atmosphere is get rid of it. So it's nothing but sun. And they're here. Sounds like an alien takeover of silicon life forms.
Yeah, well,
And they're bombarding us with shots that grow it in us to make us an interface to like upload our data like childhood's end. Sorry.
Yeah, well, in scientific neurology, what you just described, they have the complete diagram about by 2050. It starts off at human in the earlier years, but by 2050, it says cyborg. That's what the human species.
Oh, I've got like NBC.
Sorry, I was into that and I didn't realize that it was almost at the end. We're all gonna be cyborgs, dude. How old are you?
43.
You might still be around in
I hope not.
2050.
I hope not.
I'll be long gone. But I'm doing my best right now to make this world a better place
I know
before I go.
I know
You know. And whether it's the men's weekend or my show or helping people or, you know, taking care of helping kids and veterans and doing all the stuff that we do, you know, off camera, it's all I could do to make up for, you know, maybe the things that I did that maybe might not have been, you know, the most popular thing to do. Well, it was pretty popular back then, though.
I might make 2050. I might. For change my lifestyle.
Your lifestyle's doing good, dude. You're doing great, actually. You're doing a fucking great job. I was talking to my wife about it the other day. So, Jesse was on Redacted. You know who Redacted is?
Yep.
He was on Redacted a couple days ago. He was talking about direct energy weapons and neurotech, right? And I was like, huh. So all this stuff is connected to the mind, right? It's all the mind. And I'm really waiting for Jesse to come out and tell us more about how we can combat it. Because one of the ways we do that is we get the metals out of our body and all those different things that this stuff can attach to. Now, I would assume that if we're an Alex Jones, you're not going to get away from the direct energy weapons or whatever the hell they call them, those things that, you know, that read your mind and do all that stuff. Like he said that when he came in the room, his meter went off. And that is, you know, who knows why. I mean,
Mine's going off now that I hung out with you for the night.
That's great. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We're going to have fun. You just got to keep coming back because it gets easier after a while because, you know, it's like I said earlier. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you see it and do the research around it, it's easy. I mean, because listen, when the COVID thing was going on, and I had got, because I didn't know none of this, right? In 2021, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I'm just glad that I got connected to the internet to see the right stuff to stop me right there. You know what I mean? Because who fucking knows? I mean, wasn't about to get my kids vaccinated. I was not going to do that. And I did get the vaccination because my wife was so flipped out because her family, they're all, they're liberal and conservative liberals. And they were, the fear porn was so bad and people were being, bombarded with all this stuff and you couldn't walk, all the stuff. And so when I found out, and I have some stuff that you could take to, that'll help you. When I found out what they did to us, they put, gave us vaccines to kill us, basically. I mean, there's a bigger synopsis about it, but so I started doing research. What do I do to get the spike protein out of my system? How do I, blah, 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 all that stuff. and I just started doing it. And so I do a regimen of ivermectin still once a week. At the time, I was taking ivermectin every day. I took ivermectin every day for 6 months, and and I have this other stuff that cleans your blood. You just take it once a month, once every other month, whatever, you know what I mean, and it helps because what happens with the stuff with, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know exactly how it works, but what it does is you've heard about the people that had the blood clots and stuff. Well, you need to keep that from plaquing up like plaque in your system. So you take this stuff and it thins it out, and then it releases it out.
Yeah.
But you can get myocarditis or any of those things just from being around somebody that got vaccinated, because the vaccine shed through people's skin, by the way. But you know, that's one of the things they don't talk about a lot, but that's another thing. So like, you know, maybe you're changing your ways and you're going to hang out with that liberal blue-haired chick, and she gets vaccine boosted every fucking couple months.
Be careful.
Sheds right off on you, dude. Yeah. So anyway, let's do this. Hold on.
Well, I've talked to CIA whistleblowers who've obviously seen vans just parked outside of their home with directed energy weapons aimed right at them. So can you talk about that piece of it?
Exactly. Well, it's a very good question, and it's important that everyone watching understands what you're referring to. In my personal opinion, on May 8th of 2024, Colonel Greg Eggering, retired Colonel Greg Eggering, gave testimony that indeed that this phenomenon is happening here on our homeland, not only to the best of our best in the FBI, CIA, but we now know this happening to congressional members. And he decides on the slow duration, long-term exposure as being a slow kill. The system is designed to make a person look like they are crazy. Okay. Now, in Rafe's case, he does have that documentation of that dental implant. But when I was there, we did test him, and we were able to show that there is a visual frequency that we can show on a graph that is emitting from his person. We also used what was called a nonlinear junction detection, which is a type of device that checks for silicon harmonics. Now, silicon is in every electronic semiconductor out there that is made. Now, back prior to the pandemic, we would test people, and quite often, if they were not symptomatic, they would test negative. And all of my victims who were symptomatic did test positive. Now what is happening post-pandemic, everyone is testing positive for a semiconductive harmonic. What does that mean? We know that a lot of the nanotech that was now being proven that was in the injections is there. This nanotech, nanorobots, whatever you want to call it, they're 2,000 times the width of a hair. They're self-assembling, self-replicating. They cross the blood-brain barrier. And they contain graphene, and they contain silicon, which are amplifiers. So the amplification of signals to receive and transmit are enhanced.
So you're telling me your sponsor, that one that you showed earlier, is the right stuff to take?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And so, I have some other stuff too. We're out of time, so I want to make sure and play this one. I'm going to play one. Tomorrow I'm going to cover the Charlie Kirk stuff, but just so I play some of it, I'm going to run this one clip that breaks down the footage of the propaganda that has been exposed about the rooftop shooting of Charlie Kirk. And tomorrow I'll get into it. I'll cover it in more detail. I think it's important that we do cover it, but we're out of time. So stand by. Let me play this clip.
Bet you didn't see this. This is the smoking gun. This is the smoking gun that reveals the lies and the propaganda and the manipulation and everything that they are trying to do with this case. Watch.
Now that last video that they showed that was zoomed in, you can see it as clear as the noonday sun that he came into the facility. He climbed onto the roof. He was in a prone position. He took a shot, ran and jumped off the roof, just like the testimony showed. It was emotional to see Erica have to watch that.
I know that you guys watching on live stream couldn't see the last video that was shown. Well, it wasn't edited. It was zoomed in. It was zoomed in from the surveillance video off campus, and specifically the part of the Losi Center, the roof, and you see everything. You see everything.
Can you see anything?
He climbs over. He assembles the gun.
See again?
He runs over to the
I don't
edge.
see a gun. Can you see him?
Gets down in
Can
a
you
prone
see his
position.
face? No.
And you see the.
Can you see if it's a male or a
time.
female?
No. And we all know what time. And it was like so slow. Just watching those seconds, click, 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 and then you see him take the shot. And he takes the shot, and then immediately runs. And we've seen that video already, but
there's a reason today we got to view the up-close footage of the UVU surveillance, and there's a reason that the defense did not want that seen by the public. After everything this entire week, to me, it is overwhelming evidence against Tyler Robinson. Astronomical evidence against Tyler Robinson.
You have to hear this because it was devastating what we watched. And the judge ruled that you can't see the high definition quality video 4K of Tyler Robinson committing the murder of Charlie Kirk. But we saw it, and they played it on giant screens inside of the courthouse. You can see clearly Tyler Robinson's face. You can see crystal clear. Emotional day. The judge played all 20 minutes of the high definition security footage, and the whole courthouse gasped when it was over.
The most damning evidence against Tyler Robinson was just shown in court. Only the court saw it. But it was high quality surveillance video footage of Tyler Robinson taking the shot that took my friend's life. We all want justice. So hopefully this latest revelation that was revealed in court, that was shown in court today, high quality surveillance video of Tyler Robinson taking the shot that took Charlie's life. Hopefully that'll shut a lot of people up, at least make you pause.
And there's more. There were more people. There were the Eric Doherty, or however you say his name. There was Nick Sorter. There was Liz Wheeler. There was Andrew Colvett and all the TPUSA guys. You got to wonder why they're lying about it completely, including Erica, by the way. There was a lot more people, but to keep this video short, we'll just post those ones because those were the big ones. Those were the ones that made multiple videos and swore up and down, as you saw, quality, high quality HD 4K footage. Some of them even had the gall to say that you could see his face. And you got homeboy Talmud Tatum saying that it's clear as the noonday sun. All of these people are being exposed and are going to continue. Manipulators and the absolute shill propagandists that they are. These people are the enemy. They are lying to you. If you continue to believe them, you have no excuse and you deserve everything you have coming to you. And you know what? I'm not going to end this video by saying I'm a conspiracy theorist. Instead, I'm going to say, told you so.
Follow him. So the big thing is, you've seen it on the internet, right? Where they come out and they said that, 4K quality, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happened was because the courts had it sealed. Well, somebody from the court, like one of the court reporters or something, sent Candace the copy of the tape that was not supposed to be out to the public. And so she ran it on her show yesterday. and the internet blew up because they're lying to you. Why would all these MAGA people do that? Like I always thought these people were stand up, great motherfucking solid, and they're horrible. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're gonna get into it tomorrow. We're out of time. I'm 9 minutes over, and
11:11.
Make a wish. I want to say thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I hope that you'll come back. It gets easier the more time you spend doing this. I have a lot more, and we'll get into it tomorrow night. And I'll do my best to do 8 o'clock, but it may be 9 o'clock. I might be able to pull off 8 o'clock. Depends on what goes on during the day tomorrow. But I think I have a honey-do list I'll probably be able to get done early enough and feed my kids and the dogs and stuff and be in here at by 8. But don't hold me to that. It might be 9. We'll see how it goes. But thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. Go to the go to the description or to my website and just check out the stuff that I have on there. We also have t-shirts coming out. I have badass designs I just designed that we're gonna get probably posted by Monday night. I designed a 1776 with a Gadsden snake and on the back, and then on the front 1776. It's pretty sick. And a couple other ones that we're working on right now. Remember, I do this all on my own. I don't have a bunch of people helping me. My wife's going to design the shirts because she's a badass with the shirts. And we're going to make the shirts here until the orders get to be too big. Then I'll have to go through somebody and get the shirts. But it's going to be high quality fabric. It's not going to be cheap Walmart stuff. We don't do that here. We're going to give you really good shirts. I want to do Bella canvas because they're thin and durable. That's probably what we'll use. Unless you email me and say that you want a thick shirt, then I'll get you a thick shirt. But I want to go with the quality, over quantity. And so anyway, check us out. Go on the website, buy some products, help us, subscribe to the channel, do all that stuff. Share this information everywhere. It's open source. You're welcome to anything that I post anytime. You don't have to ask for permission. It's open source. It's that way for a reason. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you for having me.